Much like the snowflake in Dr. Seuss's book, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, there exists in the tiny parts of the internet an independent comic book movement that tried to be a movement, but became something entirely different. It was a place meant for customers to find respect and validation, for masculinity to thrive, and for new creative minds to bring out fresh new stories to those customers. I would say it was a nice dream, but like all dreams, you wake up to the reality that it was all pretend. Even more so is the reality that there exist attempts to rewrite its history in a manner Joseph Stalin would find impressive. To say that such a movement began with criticism of its own indie books being of low quality, with the exception of those produced by pros who came into the movement later on, while ignoring its grassroots beginnings by customers and YouTube critics, would be, to put it lightly, disingenuous. Therefore, it's important to document this little phenomena that, for a time, reinvigorated comic book fans looking for an alternative to a comic book industry that was being infected with alt-left brain rot, unnecessary race swaps, gender swaps, and tons of forced LGBTQ propaganda. This is the story of an independent comic book movement that saw tons of infighting among customers, creators, and then with each other. A story of unfulfilled potential, of fatherless behavior gone completely unchecked. This is the story of Comicsgate, when the culture war hit those pretty little pictures.
Give me the log line of Comicsgate.
I already told you what Comicsgate was.
Give it to me in one pithy sentence.
I don't want to.
You can't.
I can't.
You can't because it would reveal that it's a nihilistic thing.
There's two of them. One's evil, one's good. What could happen next? Well, my answer is who cares what happens next? This book is shit.
In 2017, attention was called to the growing dissatisfaction by customers of comic books.
2006 to like 2008, DC Comics was on a roll, and then they just started rebooting every couple of years, and it's like, why am I going to read a book? You're going to erase it in a couple of years. But yeah, it's weird what's going on, because I didn't mind, like, you know, black characters or gay characters, but now it's just kind of like mandatory and forced into everything.
Yeah, and I think
a little weird.
I think people don't mind black or LGBT characters. I think they mind that they're doing it to major properties. Yeah. Like Tony Stark's been replaced by like a 13-year-old black lesbian girl, I guess. But she's like smarter than Tony Stark. And so that's weird. Yeah. And they made Captain America a Nazi, and that really bothered people. I mean, and the Hulk's Asian now. I think what I hear from most of these guys is if you create these characters and stop trying to put them in the existing popular properties, but you just made new stories that were good, they wouldn't care.
Yeah.
And maybe they're lying, but that seems to be the mantra. And yeah. I don't know, for what it's worth, I tend to believe them.
Why do SJW Marvel Girl heroes all have the same personalities? Because they're Mary Sue's. I can answer that question right now.
A lot of the terminology in this video are probably going to be foreign to some of you, so allow me to define words as they appear in this presentation. A Mary Sue is a fictional female character who is best at everything, never fails, and never ever needs a man for anything. To illustrate this point, Rey Palpatine from Disney's expensive Star Wars fan fiction trilogy has always been demonstrated to be good at everything, never needing a man, and with no discernible personality or character traits that can be defined as relatable. In contrast, someone like Ellen Ripley was depicted as submitting to Corporal Hicks' experience and authority in the movie Aliens. She is never depicted as being good at everything, never disrespecting men, and whose challenges were very relatable.
Hi. I feel like kind of a fifth wheel around here. Is there anything I can do?
I don't know. Is there anything you can do?
Well, I can drive that loader.
In the comics world, characters like Captain Marvel and Ironheart were the faces of the Mary Sue trope.
There's no reason why American comics should be that way, and it didn't ever used to be that way. Back in the Golden Age, comics was huge. Even in the Silver Age, comics was still huge. All the way up through the Copper Age and so on, comics was a major force in America. The only reason it isn't now as big as it once was is frankly due to a lack of synergy between the comics and the movies. Because the movies can and should have acted as the largest possible marketing scheme for the American comic book industry possible. The problem is that right around the time that comic culture got huge because of, or perhaps, the circumstances that led to the movies being big led to comics also being big, because geekery became mainstream in the hipster sense, a bunch of cultural commentators and activists tried to institutionally capture basically every popular form of art form or geekery they could. And that led to a massive downgrade in quality, which led to comics no longer mattering.
Even though there are some differences, we really do talk about the same stuff. It's like we are creating a brand new skeptic community. Only ours centers on comic books. Let's first talk about diversity and comics. And he is the one with the thumbnails where he's tearing up his comics. I saw on Twitter somebody insulted him. I'm thinking, come on, he made $30-40 on this video, and somebody's talking about how it's stupid to tear up a comic. If it makes $40 off of a $4 comic, then good job you, diversity. And then we have Moneybags Cummings, who actually paid somebody to draw him. I don't know if they're paying. I just was kidding around right there. The captain here is probably the boldest of the three of us, easily. And he swears like a sailor, which coincidentally he was. Check out Captain Frugal. He does a good job on his channel. He dresses like Captain America, and he sounds like Stephen King.
This collective would soon be given the name Comicsgate. Reviews of bad comics would end with those books being ripped apart. Literally. Captain Cummings was probably the first, I would say, official. I came in, Doug was doing his thing. I actually said, hey guys, do you know anybody else?
You notice some things, that was going on. You're like, well, it's not every book. And then you started to see it happening in the books that I liked reading. And then so I started branching out and reading more books and, picking up this one and picking up that one. You were like, wow, it seems to affected the majority of the books going on, And so I just started talking about it, and people responded to it, and I was like, maybe I'm actually onto something,
If Zoe Quinn was the face that ignited the Gamergate movement, Heather Antos could arguably be the one that begat Comicsgate. It's debatable, of course. There were many. Antos, the editor for Marvel Comics, posted a selfie of herself and the female staff at Marvel with milkshakes in their hands. The comic industry side could not understand the reasoning behind the outcry over that photo. Depicted were young, cute-looking women who were behind some of the most atrocious, misandrist, left-leaning extremist ideology in their comics. Fans and readers who came to read the good guy beating the bad guy instead got Lady Thor, Riri Williams, Gay Iceman, and a Spider-Man with a failed marriage. Instead of acknowledging how bad the books were, and how terrible sales were leading to comic book shops closing, the perpetrators celebrated with glasses of milkshakes, signaling how unqualified they were in writing books that appealed to the targeted demographic.
When Marvel, DC, and other SJW comic writers conspired to harass a critic at Comic-Con. Yeah. Go figure on this one. I was shocked when I heard this. People have been asking me to cover this all week. And I saw the video from Diversity in Comics about this, and I'm just kind of blown away because, holy crap, he has really pissed some people off, man. And that to me is hysterical, because this is one dude who has a YouTube channel that has really triggered a number of comics writers. So to that, you have to almost give the dude props. So it says here, a secret Facebook group of DC, Marvel, Image Comics, and other writers, including B. Clay Moore, Isaac Goodhart, Kelly Thompson, and Taylor Esposito, revealed that some of the comic industry's top talent were plotting to harass the creator of the YouTube channel Diversity in Comics due to his critical reviews that exposes the comics industry's SJW agenda to the public. Here's the thing. A lot of us talk about how there's SJW content in comics and how there's a lot of it that is just so stupid. Like case in point, Thor's grandfather and the whole unsolicited opinions on Israel comment that made literally no sense. And still a year plus later doesn't make any damn sense. But that's the kind of stuff that we talk about when we make fun of them pushing Mockingbird's Ask Me About My Feminist Agenda.
Mark Waid and Richard C. Meyer attempted a phone call that was described by both as unproductive. Mark Waid was not done in his targeted harassment of Meyer.
I love women's revenge films or women in prison films.
So these SJW creeps have ruined comics. Sales are pathetic. Under 18,000 for flagship characters, under 10,000 for new comics, like on their 3rd to 6th issue selling under 10,000 from Marvel. And it's done that because they hate the fans. They're antagonistic towards the fans on Twitter. And it's not just their political. It's one political voice, one political stance you see over and over.
Would you please get your politics out of my comic books? I'm like, what comic books are you reading?
Kelly Sue DeConnick was another feminist writer for DC Comics and also at war with comic book fans. She uttered the now infamous words that signaled Comicsgate's mission.
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Problem solved. You don't like my Twitter feed? Unfollow me. Magic.
Now, Doug, if I remember correctly, there were really just 2 words that got you into this originally. And those 2 words would be Dan and Slott.
Yeah, I mean, if you went way back into my blog, back to around 2010, maybe even a little earlier than that, losing track of time. But I started reviewing Amazing Spider-Man and really ticked off Dan Slott. And then he started calling me a right-wing lunatic and a nutcase and all of this sort of stuff. And so the more that he did that to me, then I was like, let me look into this guy. And then I started looking into it. And then he was going off on anyone who believed in the Second Amendment.
He went after Frugal.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I met Frugal in the Marvel message boards because they banned me. So basically what Dan Slott would do, and all these other guys that were in that circle and the editors and stuff like that, is everywhere I would go, Dan would complain about me, and then the moderators would ban me, and they would kick me off. And then even on places like Comic Vine, I had one of the moderators like, listen, dude, you didn't even break any rules, but we got this guy. We try to protect him from himself, but he's like crazy, basically. And you're just causing too much problem. You got to go. I had to go, even though I wasn't breaking any rules.
The crazy guy gets to stay, but you have to go.
That was what kind of like got me down the road. And then I started looking into like Joey Q and Mark Waid and all these sorts of guys. And then I was like, wait, Mark, I think it was Mark Waid. They were going off on Obamacare. And if you didn't agree with them on Obamacare, then you were like the devil and all this. I'm like, all these people are just rabid, crazy, like ideologues. And like, so then I just started writing on it because I was working both before at the Heritage Foundation, conservative nonprofit, and then ultimately for the Washington Times, which is, the editorial board is right-leaning or whatever. So it was all in my wheelhouse, and that's where and then eventually I was just like, well, I want to reach more people. Let me go to YouTube. Let me try that out. And that's where I met Captain Cummings, and then ultimately you and Richard, and then we were all in our little DM room for like 6 months or whatever it was, the good times. There was good times.
Another name in the early CG movement was Tim Lim, who was at war with the Mary Sue, critiquing it for hiring Mags Visaggio as Larry Hama's replacement on G.I. Joe at IDW. This led to the Mary Sue accusing Lim of being a white supremacist. Quite the feat for a man who was Chinese. In early 2018, DC Comics artist Ethan Van Sciver was dragged into a malicious campaign against him by industry artist Tim Doyle. Soon, a writer for The Atlantic joined in and announced he will be writing an article linking Ethan to a harassment campaign.
This article, it's actually a blog. It's a gigantic 4-part blog written by this man, Alfred Alfie Norris, who is or used to be a high-powered lawyer from Alabama. I don't believe he is anymore. He shouldn't be. He shouldn't be. But he retains the skills of a lawyer, and he has pulled together this incredible narrative from disparate threads of his encounters with me and people on my Facebook page. Alfie joined in. It was worse than the usual internet argument. They made insulting comments and personal attacks that were not confined to Van Sciver's page. They sent vulgar, harassing messages to personal accounts, and the barrage was relentless. Is that a link? No, that's not a link, so that's not proof. Unfortunately, Alfie, I do have some proof. So let's talk about the tone of my page. Occasionally, it would get out of hand, and I would have to step in and straighten things out. And it often got out of hand because of this gentleman.
EVS was faced with some vile and near-pornographic vitriol on his Facebook page. Jon Malin became vocal about the double standards of the comic industry's racism. He was well known for his run on cable. Malin started gaining a new fan base who were tired of being called racist and sexist by, racist and sexist women and their perverted male feminist simps in the comic industry. However, Malin early on didn't ingratiate himself with the early Comicsgaters.
B. Claymore was the guy we were interviewing, and we were trying to make him understand that we don't want to make our own shit. We want the IPs to be well handled, and he didn't get it. And so Jon Malin comes on to yell at E after we do this interview with B. Claymore, in which I was mostly the one holding B. Claymore's feet to the fire on why shouldn't we try to make our IPs good again.
He went after me. He went after me because I wasn't
adversarial enough.
Yeah, I should have pushed him on this. I was like, I don't know this shit. Why do you think? And I told him, first of all, don't, you come on my video channel, you're yelling at me. I don't know your life.
But come to find out, I was, riding high off of this because, at that point, nobody knew much about Jon Malin as a person. We just knew him because he was a comic book creator or influencer. Come to find out, though, this person who was so harsh on E for not holding B. Claymore's feet to the fire and was gassing me up because I was the only one who was adversarial enough, according to him. Come to find out, when EVS showed up, Jon Malin fell right in line and became a bootlicker in the space of 2 seconds.
It wouldn't be long until Richard C. Meyer and Jon Malin would collaborate on their first comic book, Jawbreakers.
Comicsgate has gotten so huge, which is a good thing. As far as I'm concerned, we have defeated the SJWs because there is now a business model that is viable for people that don't want to deal with all that sort of junk.
Not surprisingly, the industry bigots couldn't handle its success. It left them reeling, as a matter of fact. Tim Doyle in particular was left shaken, and he had no other recourse but to go after Meyer's family. Your boy Zach took legal action against Doyle as a result and neutered the MPC. There was a camaraderie going on with all who identified as Comicsgate. The critic sector who pointed out the bad books included Captain Cummings, Yellow Flash, your boy Zach, and Englentine. The creator side included Ethan Van Sciver, Jon Malin, Tim Lim, Doug Ernst, and your boy Zach. During this time, I began drawing my first graphic novel, Road Warrior Drake. I was not aware of Comicsgate at the time, but I did listen to Ethan Van Sciver's Star Wars video, as well as Yellow Flash, Diversity in Comics, and That Umbrella Guy with their comic book reviews. The Last Jedi was still fresh in the minds of many people, and launched the YouTube careers of many. But it was a trailer from the Thundercats Roar cartoon, a remake done in the style of the simplistic Cal art style, that motivated me to do my own comic, to bring back a character I created in junior high school, and make that character the mascot for the next step in my creative endeavor. I had no plans to publish or promote it. All I knew was I was going to make this book. I was at work drawing it, unbeknownst to me the drama that would unfold in Comicsgate. Tim Lin had drawn and completed his first book, Thump, written by Mark Pellegrini. He was also tasked with drawing Cash Grab, which was supposed to have been written by Cecil and Nurkish, but there were signs of division when EVS and Ernst had a disagreement over alleged gatekeeping.
So it was literally a thing where in the DM room, in the Comicsgate Live or whatever it was called at the time, Comicsgate Green Room, there was a debate about the whole gatekeeper type stuff. We all wanted to handle it within the DM room. And I wasn't the only one there. Weaponized Nerd Rage was there. Yellow Flash was there. I believe that Umbrella guy was there. Pretty much anyone you could think of from those days back in the day. This was all something that everyone wanted to deal with in the actual green room. And it was Ethan who wanted to do it on a live stream. And it would be the very first Comicsgate live stream. And he was like, he literally just said, like, don't talk about this, any of you guys. We're going to do this in like 3 or 4 days or whatever it would be. And it would be like an explosion of entertainment because all of this would be revealed, and because we're all adults here, we're going to be able to hash it out on the stream, but the actual stream itself will be exploding with, you know, cool entertainment. The chat will like it and all of this and blah, 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 blah. So he set it up. He knew exactly what we were going to talk about. He knew exactly where everybody stood. And he didn't know exactly what we were going to say, but he knew the general gist of our positions. Edwin's here. He says, yes. Correct. Ethan wanted to make YouTube fodder out of it. Exactly.
I don't want this. I'm just doing my Cyberfrog book. I'm talking about Star Wars to my audience. I can be a big help to people, or I can just be out of here because I do make an effort. I have a weekly Comicsgate show in which I try to introduce people like Captain Cummings, Weaponized Nerd Rage, some of the biggest comic skaters. I put them on every single weekend to an audience of, or every single week, to an audience of 1,500 plus, sometimes 2,000 subscribers, 2,000 viewers to get their channels blown up. I talk about them. I let them promote themselves. I make them seem important. I talk to them deferentially. This is some fucking Julius Caesar shit.
It was this stream where the Julius Caesar analogy made its debut, and the seeds were laid for the creation of the fan group War Campaign.
Likening yourself to Julius Caesar, saying, I don't need to do this, I don't need to promote
I don't. I got a lot of people who I don't know who are stabbing me in the back. A lot of people who I don't know who are upset with me and who are putting knives in my back and starting trouble. I'm sorry if that sounds egocentric. That's what it feels like. I've got people who I try to help, people who I try to lift up. And this is the inevitable result. I would love to know what Captain Cummings' problem is.
We might just have to agree to disagree, because what you call a knife, other people are calling legitimate disagreements that they have. It's not necessarily a knife, and so it's a matter of you just being able to listen to what they're saying and try and see where they're coming from. I see where you're coming from. I could see why you would feel attacked. I totally understand that. But it's one thing to feel attacked, and then another to step back and look at things objectively and saying, like, okay, maybe there just might be a reason why, a legitimate reason why people are upset.
Then there was the follow-up stream, the transcript stream, where Tim Lin read back a transcript of EVS in an earlier video saying creators making Trump comics should stop and that it didn't belong in CG. Lim's falling out was capped by his disapproval of DC Comics artist Mike S. Miller, known for his Injustice run, joining Comicsgate.
When Mike S. Miller joined, this weird thing happened that I still can't understand it, but a lot of parties that I was not even aware of. People think I know them. I have no idea what's going on. Ethan is inviting all these pros in, and these pros are sucking like all of the money out that would have gone to our independent Indiegogo campaigns. But Mike was drawing the piece. He was drawing my characters, and everyone's not everyone's characters. That was the problem. So he goes on Twitter. He shows the piece, and then a bunch of people feel left out. So people said, "Hey, why isn't Rags on there?" And like, why isn't Donald Thump on there? That's what happened.
Yeah.
So
this was literally the day after Ethan told me I should be Comicsgate. I'm like, okay, and I had no idea what anything besides the ones I drew on there were.
Yeah. And so there was that. So Tim's pissed at that, but I didn't know he was pissed about that. I didn't know. And then, he should be on the poster, and Mike is asking me for a second time. This is now a second time that people have had to ask me if Tim Lim is legit. So Tim Lim's like, what the hell? Like, I've been doing this. Ethan was at DC, and I've been out here, like, banging the pavement, like doing Trump books and being indie, and I'm Comicsgate. Ethan comes out and he says that I'm not Comicsgate. And then Mike S. Miller's here, and Jon Malin, all these other pros. What the
I found out about it the day after it happened, and it was transmitted to me by several people, 6 in particular, and they wanted my opinion on it. So I have the transcript right here, and I'd like to read it to you. It's in your Drawing Hornets. It's in your Drawing Hornets Nest video, and it was taken on June the 18th. And I have the transcript, and this is what it says. It says, "I said to Zach, and I said to all of them, quote, stop making these Trump comics. Stop. I think Chuck is working on some Trump in space book. Look, it's not 2016 anymore." Where Captain Cummings was mad is that he asked me, is that true? Did he talk to you? Because it says, quote, I said, in past tense, I said to all of them. That is not true. We are just meeting for the first time today. And I talked to Brett, and I said, has he ever talked to you? And he said, no. And I asked Mark Pellegrini, who is working with Mitch on Red Rooster, has Ethan reached out to you? He said, no. Then I said, where is this coming from? And we all said, I don't know, because we don't know anyone else who's making Trump books except us. Now, I agree with your position, actually. I've actually heard your conversations with Vox Day.
But like earlier today, you said like it seemed like people were backstabbing you, when to me, it's really just about people who are friends with Tim and Mark and Brett and Chuck. If you say something, we're going to fight just as much tooth and nail for our friends as you are for Richard, who I also consider a friend as well. So it's like, it's not that we're stabbing you in the back, but we saw something as he's attacking our friend, and our only option is either to zip it and say nothing and let our friend twist in the wind, or come out swinging for him. And I said to myself, I'm going to come out swinging for my friend. If it destroys my YouTube channel, I don't care, because I'm loyal to him.
This was the beginning of the eventual departure of Tim Lim and Doug Ernst from Comicsgate. Captain Cummings and Englentine would soon leave as well, and slowly but surely the OG of Comicsgate would phase out.
Alsmat Films, $2. How to get my comic Road Warrior Drake at Indicron. I think you mean Indiegogo, I'm guessing. I would suggest build your name up before you just launch an Indiegogo.
No, he's talking about Indicron, Edwin, you were telling us about Indicron.
Yeah. Just send me a tweet. Send me a tweet on Twitter, or Umbrella or John Delarose. We'll take a look, and we just got to vet you, and then we'll get you up. And just want to make sure you got a legitimate project. If you're friendly to us, we'll absolutely get you up.
Have I been vetted, Edwin?
You've been vetted.
Okay.
So, I was listening to a live stream hosted by Yellow Flash Comics, and it included guys like the Umbrella Guy and Ethan Van Sciver of Comic Book Pro Secrets, and there was a gentleman, Edwin Smooth Jazz, and he mentioned this thing about Indicron, which is a I guess to better describe it, a registry for indie comic artists who are producing work. And it's a kind of like a way to point to them and to, give them a platform to show updates so that people can actually go and hear about them. And then if they're interested, go to their respective sites or what have you and support them. Of course, these are artists who are friendly to Comicsgate. So I paid into a super chat, and I asked about getting Road Warrior Drake, which is my graphic novel, the comic that I'm currently producing. How do I get that included in Indicron so that people can hear about it and as a way for me to potentially build an audience that could eventually be interested in purchasing the comic once I'm done with it.
Doug Ernst and Tim Lin began separating themselves from the mainline CG creators. The negative sentiment towards Comicsgate was intensified when Billy Tucci suggested that famous comic artist Darwin Cook would have aligned himself with CG. Cook's widow, Marcia, immediately clapped back against Ethan Van Sciver over this notion, accusing Comicsgate of being, of all things, transphobic, misogynistic, and racist. She went as far as to say that EVS had a quote-unquote cult-like hypnosis with regards to the group. Bill Sienkiewicz, co-creator of the Marvel character Legion and artist for the New Mutants, led the way with smear campaigns against CG, while he turned a blind eye to his peer, DC Comics artist Robbie Rodriguez, who shared pictures of his anus and tagged Ethan Van Sciver. It took Jon Malin to do what Antos, Sienkiewicz, Joe Quesada, and the rest would not do. Richard C. Meyer filed a lawsuit against Mark Waid over tortious interference. In short, Waid issued a thinly veiled threat to Antarctic Press that if they went ahead and published Meyer's Jawbreakers, then most in the comic industry would refuse to work with Antarctic Press. AP saw no other alternative but to acquiesce to Waid's threat and cancel their plans to publish Jawbreakers. Considering this to be tortious interference, Meyer filed a suit against Waid, a lawsuit that would span 2 years and would be a significant rallying cry for Comicsgate. AP submitted to cancel culture according to CG. However, Niobe Comics creator Larry Higgins offers a different perspective on AP's negative stance with CG.
Most of the people that Ethan Van Sciver hates were all part of Antarctic Press, if you didn't know. People didn't know that Common America is printed by Antarctic. They're like, no, they're not Antarctic, they're Iconic. Yes, they are. They are both. See, that's the thing. Just like Niobe Comics is its own label, but when we reprint through Antarctic, it gets the Antarctic Press label. It's the same thing with Common America. It's the same thing with Punchline. It's the same thing with Brian Ball, who they all took fucking, a stance against, because when Antarctic Press wouldn't sign your boy Zach because of a phone call from Mark Waid, Brian Ball was part of Comicsgate at the time, and he did sign with Antarctic Press, and Comicsgate lost their shit over it. Because at that point in time, Antarctic Press was the enemy. And it's not something that AP wants to talk about. They would like to sweep that under the rug, as many other people would like to sweep that under the rug. But the fact of the matter is it happened. I know because I was there.
John De La Rose was facing heat over his association with former Gamergate current Comicsgater Vox Day. This led to one of the first gay ops in Comicsgate. Oh wait, let me help you guys out. What is a gay op? A gay op is a conspiracy executed by people who connect through social media to harass, dox, deplatform, etc. And it took, of all people, Renfamous, a cosplayer and CG's first true arch nemesis, to point it out. Rogue Kabir, the leader of EVS's fan group, War Campaign, denied sending DMs requesting the head of John De La Rose.
Okay, all right.
Are you serious, dude? You're going to justify this?
I'm hearing lie after lie. You know what? Shut it, John. Number one, shut it, all right? You make up lies. You show doctored pictures, all right? If you notice, every single time I write in my texts, everywhere all over Twitter, what do I say? Do I ever swear? Do I ever say, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to cut you? Nothing. I use poetic language to get my point across. Why? Because I'm not interested in actually physically going and hurting anybody.
Eventually, Rogue confessed with tears to Ethan Van Sciver that, yes, the DMs were real. It was an inspiring time for me to get my book Road Warrior Drake completed. I do videos on my drawings, sometimes on location by the river near my newly purchased home. The evenings were spent, after work, drawing and listening to the Comicsgate live streams that featured a group of artists and creators looking to make the CG thing special, including Mike S. Miller, Edwin Boyette, Billy Tucci, Doug Tenable, R.T. Bear, Antonio Bryce, Jeff Hicks from World Class Bullshitters, Yellow Flash, and Kelsey Shannon. It was a combination of art discussions, plans for the movement, and live drawings. The divide between CG and John Della Rose, however, specifically over Vox Day, led to some early memings by War Campaign. This would all come to a head when Vox declared a takeover of Comicsgate.
You shouldn't have fucked with the Dark Lord. Every time you come at me, I will take something away from you.
My feeling is that the people who have helped propel Comicsgate, right, are in this room and in this chat. And for Vox Day to think he can lay claim to that and co-opt the enthusiasm of all these good people, right, in our chat. Mm-hmm. The enthusiasm and the creativity of all these people here in our conversation right here. It is ridiculous at its audacity. It is nonsense and insanity, right? He's trying to monetize all the hard work, all the enthusiasm, and all the goodwill of these people that come in here and join us time after time, and share in our triumphs and our sorrows, and have given so much of their goodwill and good attention. And Vox needs to stop. Vox needs to put in his own work. He's an intelligent guy. He can do his own work. He can come up with his own brand. Comicsgate does not belong to Vox Day.
No, it belongs to us, but in particular me.
While the big guys were doing their live streams, I found an opportunity to do my own. The first guy to jump on was artist Bad Ankle Bill.
William Blankenship, let's formally welcome you to the chat. How are you, sir?
I am doing beautifully. How are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm not out with the cool kids. I'm not getting drunk. I'm not getting plastered. I'm just being a fuddy-duddy homebody at home.
Bad Ankle Bill was the creator of the Thunder Chickens webcomics. I was a fan of his work, which had as diverse a range of any artist I've ever seen.
This is a Lasmat. Is it a Lasmat or Alasmat?
You got it right. A Lasmat, yes.
A Lasmat, yeah. This isn't a Lasmat exclusive. Let me bring it up on my phone.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's kick ass.
Yeah, that's Drippy Jack. That's the book that I got offered by my buddy for Carrie's Playground. 10% of artists make money off their work. 10% of the artists who make money off their work will get to a point where they can support themselves with that money. So if you want to be the 1% of anything, be the 1% of artists. Get to the point where you can make money off your work, and then get to the point where you can support yourself with that money. You're in the 1%.
The bigger picture question is, what exactly are we doing here? What exactly is Comicsgate about? What is Comicsgate for? What are the people who have said that they are part of Comicsgate? What do they actually want? And this video was prompted by this Twitter thread that you're seeing on the screen right here, which was started by science fiction author Jon Della Rose. And Jon Della Rose was the person who first gave Comicsgate any kind of media exposure in The Federalist and PJ Media, both of which are right-wing sources. So that's what Comicsgate is to me. It's just simply, it's based on grievance, and it's based on a widespread dissatisfaction with the product that these major media corporations are putting out. However, after a while, you have to translate that grievance to doing something. And so now that there's actual money involved in Comicsgate, that it's not just YouTube revenue, but there's actual no BS money, the question is, where exactly are we going with it?
The CG critics sector were vocal in their criticism of EVS turning the movement into a venue for selling their comics. This led to a four-way debate on Nick Recada's law stream between EVS England
Comicsgate.
Team,
It was a grassroots
Unragged
consumer
Chevron,
movement.
and Jon Malin.
And for a while, it was just simply based on this understanding that mainstream American superhero comics that they were just really bad, that they were just really mediocre, and that's how it came together. What's gone wrong in the past couple of months is that it has just literally become all about these crowdfunding campaigns. It's literally become all about solely about making money. It seems like people have to basically go to Ethan Van Sciver to get approval. It seems like that he is the de facto leader of Comicsgate, which used to be a leaderless movement.
Your initial statement pointed out that Comicsgate was supposed to be about the critic movement, holding other bigger companies to account. Presumably, you're talking about Marvel and DC. You're not talking about me, correct?
Well, I don't know.
Well,
it's a comic.
Okay.
I mean, comic book, right?
Well, in any case, you're the critic.
Yeah.
If somebody isn't holding the big two to account, whose responsibility is that? Mine or yours? You are the YouTube critic community. I am not. I'm a professional. Me and Jon Malin, our job is to provide a substitute, a better alternative to the comics that you're supposed to be criticizing. We're adding a new style of comic book that hasn't been seen in 4 years. Comic books that are nonpartisan. Vox Day would have come in, as we've seen him do already, with intensely far-right political comic books.
We've got consumer and professional. But the consumer, sorry guys, but the consumer still has to be the focus. When you guys say, and you went on to its name, the guy on, the guy on Daily Wire. You said that the purpose of Comicsgate was to sell comics. No, because when you turn that around, that means in the consumer's eyes, that means the purpose of Comicsgate is to buy comics. This is a consumer market. As soon as you say that this is about selling comics, that's from the point of view of the creator. That's from the point of view of the comic book professional. When you look at the point of view of the customer, you are saying that this movement is entirely made for us to buy your comics. And that has never been true.
One of the issues brought up on that live stream was Nurkish and his Discord, the circumstances of which led to both he and Tim Lim leaving the Cash Grab project. This led to the speculation that the Nurkish Discord reveal was another gay op.
He's allowing incredibly insane and offensive anti-Semitic stuff on a Discord that is connected to him. Let's see how that works with the Washington Post. While my name is splattered all over their headlines with this anti-Semitic garbage, pictures of piles of ashes with semen in it, and saying this is the last time I came on a Jew.
Nurkish then revealed that the protection he was being offered would only come if he declared Comicsgate, something he never did. Soon it was revealed that war campaigner Praetorian was behind the Nurkish gay op.
Here you can clearly see that Pan and Gat are talking about Comicsgate Anonymous. That was an operation that we ran to go ahead and expose the Nurkish server and to run Nurkish out of Comicsgate, or in an attempt to. We didn't want to be have these attached to our main account, so we went ahead and made a alt called Comicsgate Anonymous, and we went ahead and ran ops, leaked that shit to Renfamous, and that side, in the hopes that they would take the story and run with it. And then Ethan Van Sciver asked me who it was, and he asked if it was Sketch Therapy. And, Sketch would have been a convenient scapegoat because that's their favorite one in War Campaign. Because they can get him to do things and say things, and then they can claim no culpability because Sketch is quote-unquote not War Campaign. So after Ethan Van Sciver asked me who it was, I made a show of trying to go and find whoever it was, and then eventually it just all went away.
Tell me what it's like, Ethan, to be called Nazi for something somebody else has done or said.
It sucks.
I'd really like to know how that feels. You think?
It sucks. Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to happen to him again. And I got word.
in the chat and everybody in Comicsgate what it's like when somebody else does
Hey,
something,
asshole.
and because of that,
Hey,
they're done.
asshole. I know what it's like, and it's about to happen to my friend Nurkish.
I never disrespected, and I'm going to continue to respect you, dude, even though you called me asshole. There was just absolutely no call for that.
Artist Sashi confirmed that Nurkish was never in danger of being doxxed. After this stream, Ethan announced he was leaving Comicsgate and just focusing on his all-caps brand. He left for just one day.
Yeah. You remember about 9 or 10 months ago, Ethan left Comicsgate for 45 minutes or a day, and he
What, that long, really?
12 hours. I don't know. He flipped and he flopped. And he said, you know what? Eglinton, Captain Cummings, Doug, all these guys are right. Comicsgate is a fan movement, and it should always be a fan movement. And if you're a creator, you should not be Comicsgate. It should. And this was his position for all of about, I don't know, 12 hours. But when he said that back then, I was like, yeah, he's right. And I left. I stopped calling myself Comicsgate back then. Every time somebody asked me if I'm Comicsgate, I would say I believe in Comicsgate. I do believe in Comicsgate, but I believe it is what you guys, I guess, refer to as CG 1.0. That's
a
Comicsgate.
set of principles and ideas rather than a structure.
Rather than a brand, right? Yes. Comicsgate cannot be someone's personal brand. It is a movement of tens or who knows, hundreds of thousands of fans who have their own opinions, and a lot of people have their own stinking definitions. So what do you want to do?
It was time for me to start doing the rounds on other people's streams to promote myself. I was invited by Robert Willing, aka Staredcraft, for his live stream, the first one I was ever invited to, and one that was watched by, of all people, Ro Kabir of War Campaign.
We got to get entertainment back to where there's nothing wrong with being a strong female, because I write about strong females. I've created some powerful, sexy looking females.
One of the guests on Willing's stream was a man named John Wallace. I didn't know this until much later, but Wallace was interacting behind the scenes with a woman named Ashley, who went by the YouTube name of Lola Meets. She was also the wife of YouTube celebrity and comic skater, That Umbrella Guy, aka Tug.
Lola Meets.
Lola Meets. And who is Lola Meets?
The Umbrella Guy's wife. Jimmy was saying
she came
something.
on. She was really cool. She was really
came
nice.
on. She was really nice, but then Jimmy started saying stuff about, I watch your husband's show. Your daughter's phenomenal. Your husband, your daughter is beautiful.
He didn't say any of that. He was very vague.
He said something along those lines. If you pull up the live stream from back then and watch it, they were close enough. And then when she said real quick, don't dox me. When she said that, I'm sitting there thinking in the back of my brain, I'm like, husband, show, daughter be on the show with your husband. Then the light bulb went off in my head. I was like, holy shit. She's younger than me, but she came up to me like a older sister type I could talk to and trust. I said, you know what? Cool. You related to the Umbrella Guy, so to speak. I trust him. I had no beef with him. I'm talking to her in private about a lot of things. I said, yeah, well, I'm gonna end up moving to Texas. And she was like, oh, don't go to Texas. Why don't you come to Tennessee? We got nice people down here, and I'll help you find a place to live and a job. You don't gotta go all the way to Texas. At least people down here. If you come down here to Tennessee, then I thought about it for a little bit, and I figured, like I said, I trust her. I trust the Umbrella Guy. Like, you know what? Why not? I'll come to Tennessee then. January 5th, whatnot. I already left Philadelphia. I'm in Harrisburg, so I'm getting on the Greyhound. I go down to Tennessee. I get to Tennessee, and when she was supposed to be like picking me up or whatnot, meeting up with me. She ghosted me for 3 whole hours. I'm out there, and it was cold that day. I'm out there waiting outside in the cold for 3 whole hours. Didn't see nothing. So she finally gets back in contact with me. Something came up. So I grabbed a hotel room for it's supposed to be a night. That night turned into 5 days. I'm running out of money. I'm spending money I shouldn't have to spend. Then she's coming up with all these different excuses. Oh, Tug's brother was supposed to help, but now he's got something to do, or my brother's supposed to help, blah, 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 blah. So then I end up running out of money. Sadly, and this is disgusting, I literally had to stay in a fucking dirty ass homeless shelter for a whole week. And at the whole time I'm there, I'm trying to get in contact with her to find out what's going on. She still goes to me, still giving me stupid excuses. So even before I went to the shelter, I had contacted Doug Snaple because he lives in Tennessee. Said, the only thing I asked Doug was, do you know anybody that can help me get housing? Do you know anybody that can help me find a job? That's all I asked him. So Doug emails me back, and he's like, what the hell you doing in Tennessee? I told him the story, what happened. Then we're talking back and forth. He actually meets up with me in person one day, which was, good. I got the pictures on Twitter. I finally got to meet one of my childhood heroes in person. He told me a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes in Comicsgate with, the usual suspects and whatnot. Those that should not be named. And, he said he'd keep me in prayer and whatnot. If I need anything drastic, contact him. And I tried to stick with it, try to get through there and hopefully get a job, get a place, put up with that shelter bull crap. I grinded my teeth and dealt with it.
Yeah, basically, Doug Tenaple took him out to eat or something and talked to him about all sorts of stuff. And then, long story short, he needed to get back to his home state, which was quite a ways away. And basically, I gave him money so he could get some stuff to eat, I guess, and then also a bus ticket, or I don't know if it was train or bus, whatever. It was enough money where if he needed to get a bus or a train back to home, which was like hundreds of miles away, he couldn't get home.
Richard C. Meyer had his personal info doxed by an anonymous troll who went by the name of Late Night Comics.
One of the worst enemies Comicsgate has ever known, Late Night Comics, right? This guy was threatening Elizabeth Breitweiser. This guy threatened the life of Billy and Deborah Tucci. He had to call the FBI to protect himself from Late Night Comics. I guess he started out as Comicsgate. He flipped to be anti-Comicsgate. He was buddying up, I guess, with Renfamous and all those other truly not just ex-Comicsgaters, anti-Comicsgaters, the ones who tried to burn Comicsgate down from the beginning. Late Night Comics buddied up with them, and then just freaking tried to target every single one of us for destruction, myself included.
Talk about the Red Queen. The Red Queen, very sexy outside, inside not so sexy. You understand who I speak of?
Yeah, we know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. Red F Moose.
Yep, Miss Tons of Fun herself.
Very pretty lady. Okay, Gat, can you speak a little bit of history of this whore?
I mean, she's been around for as long as I can remember, man. Like, she's kind of like fuck. Herpes,
We don't even
I
usually
guess.
talk about her because
She's like herpes. Like, Comicsgate cannot shake her. So
While CG's enemies grew, with the likes of Mags Visaggio, Late Night Comics, Renfamous, Bill Sienkiewicz, and Jason Youngbluth, one would emerge from within the ranks of CG. His name was Christopher the Comic Book Hut.
So today I got back from the hut and I found this package sitting right in front of my door. And it's from, look at that, Alterna Comics, right there. And here I am, the hut of New York City.
The Comic Book Hut arrived around November. EVS started noticing his videos, which shot Hut's egos up a bit. So much so that he began making provocative comments towards his contemporaries, like Nerdette's Newsstand. Finally, the Hut made his livestream debut on Comicsgate Live.
You have the hut here.
No way. Are you Comic Book Hut?
Yes, I am.
Oh, how about that? I've never seen your face before. I like your disguise. Welcome, Comic Book Hut. You are the other newbie in the chat that I want to introduce to everyone.
I've been thinking about this today, actually. This whole thing, it all goes back to this, all goes back to feminism. They have these 4 tropes. I'm not going to go into all of them. But one of the things they sort of denounce is this idea of beauty. And because they denounce that idea of beauty, They want to break down the things that we all have these standards for. And because of that, they push these things on everybody. Now, Diversity and Thomas mentioned this the other day, that superheroes are supposed to be super. Everything they do is exaggerated. So now all these creators are denouncing all that and basically trying to take it apart. I want to say I really appreciate you inviting me on here. I know that you'd asked me about a month ago or 2 months ago, whatever it was, but because I was using my phone at the time, I hadn't used my computer. I just want to thank you for inviting me again.
No, dude, you're going to be invited all the time. So, get used to it.
He appeared one more time. His appearance was also besieged with mic problems that caused him to be muted a few times. To sum it up, he never returned to Comicsgate Live.
Sad to say, there's been another backstab against the Human Sunbeam, our good friend Ehe. This time it was performed by the Comic Book Hut. As you might know, he is another one of those people that was basically just handed a channel by the glory of the Sunbeam and the followers and members of Comicsgate. He wouldn't even have a channel it's not even worth looking at, but a channel with any followers or subs. I know that I had subbed to him, seen some of his videos, checked out his live streams when he was drawn, simply because of the fact he got on Ethan's live stream.
There's this thing, it's kind of like watching a car accident happen. I don't watch all of the Hut's videos, but I watch many of the Hut's videos because it's like you just don't know what he's going to say. And so I've watched through all of them. I can count, I scroll through this list, and you've made probably at least 50 videos about Ethan Van Sciver. I know why you do, because that gets you views.
By the next month, the Hut made a full heel turn when he felt spurned by EVS, your boy Zach, and all of CG, specifically due to how he felt Tim Lim was treated. So the Hut joined the rogue gallery of CG villains along with Renfamous, who many had believed was a hired hand by Joe Quesada. I joined CG in 2018, learning from other creators as well as getting blocked by some of the comic book industry scumbags.
I would say on this, get yourself a letterer. Get yourself a letterer. All right? Lettering is not that expensive compared to some other things like getting pages of art. Get yourself the best letterer you can get.
I had also begun receiving feedback, the first of many that would help greatly improve the book. By 2019, I had also joined some of my first Comicsgate DM groups that featured the likes of creators Simon Potier, Wenger, Peter Gilmore, Arch City Comics, and a newbie to the scene named Mandy Summers. This gathering of creatives gave me the idea to produce a series inspired by Space Ghost to Coast, with the express intent on promoting Comicsgate creators. This show would become the Road Warrior Drake Analysis. I'll let Road Warrior Drake explain this part.
Comicsgate, the independent comic book movement where grown men go on live streams and scream their desires to kill each other in dogmatic decrees of self-adulation. They also make comic books too. But lost in the sea of adult regression are the animated productions, cartoons if you will, that came out of this movement. Yours truly, Road Warrior Drake, was the first true, bona fide animated production to come out of Comicsgate, May 2019. Alcoholic Couch Dweller Cecil's Cash Grab trailer didn't get released until February 2020. Camel Moon didn't start doing animated shorts until March 2020. And Australian demoralized fat bottom Michael Bancroft didn't produce his animated shorts until April 2020. Yes, the Beast Citizen was the trendsetter. My first show had Nerdette's newsstands Tristan on, and production values aside, it made Comicsgate history.
Quit twisting my words, jackass.
Jackass? Do I look like a jackass too? I have a beak!
Or you kind of do, though. Like, I'm not wrong.
So you are part of a hate movement. You have offended me, and you have thrown racial epithets against me.
I have not done either one of those things. Quit crying, victim.
The animation for the series progressed, and I personally had fun interviewing guests, including Mandy Summers and even bigger YouTube personalities like movie critic Rambo Raff for life.
You need to direct a film starring yours truly, the Beast Citizen.
Sure, but I don't work with ducks. So fuck it. But seriously...
Just a second, Fat Bottom. What did you call me?
A duck in the muck, a fuck in the suck. But you know what? I like ducks. I changed my mind. You don't star in the movie. If you're going to be a man's man and kick ass and take names, have a good character, a good story, and a good actual fucking writing and actual action that you can understand what's going on with no PC agenda. And if you can do that, I'm willing to work with ducks.
Rants are allowed, racist rants are not, sir, and used a foul word against yours truly.
The tough titty.
The virus got you, cotton candy bottom, fat man.
A guest of note was comic book creator Rob Cacy of Cyborg USA fame.
Some degenerate will ask, so I must put it out there. What happens when one of the female machine humans is on her monthly?
So that's not something we've really explored with the story yet. I think just in thinking it through, like the characters before they become cyborgs, they're in a train crash. So the characters actually like die in the train crash and are resurrected. So I think that's like an open question, like whether or not that's something that they can still have.
So who or what are they fighting?
So they're fighting. The main thing that they're fighting is the Red Skirts, which is a anti-globalist, anti-technology death cult that transforms them into cyborgs. But then, as they become cyborgs, there are more characters who become interested in becoming cyborgs as well, and that creates like new villains for them to tangle with. They're also kind of fighting their new circumstances, like the people who transform them into cyborgs, the Attorney General and the scientist Hans Ulrich, and then themselves and their families as they kind of like manage dealing with their own transformations.
Okay, I'm done being nice. Alcohol or weed?
Weed, definitely.
Little did I know, Cacy would become the face of one of the most significant and ultimately damaging chapters in Comicsgate.
People are so quick and so easy to hurt people, put people in bad positions, to make people feel afraid or worthless or scared for no apparent reason and without thinking twice. And this is nominally all in a community that formed around people talking about comic books. I mean, of all the reasons to do harm to someone, how can you ever rationalize or justify a comic book being a good reason?
Doug TenNapel successfully funded Bigfoot Bill, the creation of which helped him secure the license to make his Earthworm Jim book. On February 12, 2019, Ethan Van Sciver praised the book, which was followed by TenNapel revealing a surprise for Ethan.
I got to tell the Comicsgate guys, your influence on this, and I'm not joking about it. You'll see when this book comes out, Ethan. I was going to save it as a surprise, but I'd rather blow the big taco now. The Bigfoot Bill comic, first page, this book is dedicated to Ethan Van Sciver.
Nice.
Oh, are you serious?
I'm dead dog serious.
Oh.
Dead dog serious. So that's my thank you, because this project would not have happened if you didn't take my call and if we didn't have a little talk and I showed you the drawing and you said yes. So
that's really nice.
I just want you to know that there's guys now, after you did that, you didn't have to do any more and you kept doing more for me. But I'm just saying, I was ready to just go off and work, and I did. I went off and did all the heavy lifting on this project, but all of this would not have happened if not that tiny hinge. You could have just ignored my call. Wouldn't have happened. Bigfoot Bill would be sitting back there in the vault.
While all things seemed well with TenNapel and Van Sciver, things would eventually fall apart behind the scenes. Doug had told Ethan in private that he was leaving Comicsgate. Ethan begged him to stay and not to say anything publicly if he did leave. Doug, appreciative of Ethan's help, acquiesced. But many in the CG community caught wind of a potential split. This brought a controversial debate over whether TenNapel's Earthworm Jim, Launched a Cow, was a Comicsgate book. There are even attempts to this day to place doubt that it was a CG book. However, EVS was still holding on to Doug being CG, despite any divide between them two. Plus, Earthworm Jim launched on Indiegogo in May of 2019. Tenable was invited as a guest on Comicsgate streams such as those by Antonio Bryce.
There's going to be a crowdfunded comic on Indiegogo written by the man, the myth, the legend himself, ladies and gentlemen, Doug Tenable.
Anthony, I love that intro. You and I are we're just casual. We're just screwing around on the show. He's all the Doug Tenable.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, our first guest is the gentle giant, Mr. Doug Tenable. And Doug is a creative of the video game Earthworm Jim. And yeah, there you go.
We just broke the Indiegogo record for comic crowdfunding. It's at $47,000. We're about to crack $750,000. If you guys haven't backed Earthworm Jim, look up Earthworm Jim on Indiegogo.
One of the backers right here.
There you go, my people. And I brought my family.
Earthworm Jim finished funding on July of 2019. It was that same month that Tenable appeared as a guest at the San Diego Comic-Con panel. Tenable made no mention of CG, EVS, or Cyberfrog. EVS posted resentment over it, which would have not been a thing if Tenable wasn't considered CG at the time. Why does all this matter? It matters because Earthworm Jim became the highest grossing Comicsgate book at the time, higher than Cyberfrog Blood Honey, the first book in EVS's Cyberfrog CG saga. Cecil's cash grab trailer featured worm-like caricatures of Doug Tenable, John Delarose, Nasser Rabadi, Edwin Boyette, and Mike S. Miller. All of these, part of the early Comicsgate Live days, defected one by one from CG. It bothered me that most of these men, part of the more stringent conservatives within CG, were no longer part of the movement.
The CEO of Comicsgate, Ethan Van Sciver, has called me a homophobe and a transphobe. That is an anti-Christian organization. He is anti-Christian for using those words. Someone pulled the string in the back of his head and he aped the words. And this is an anti-Christian organization. They largely target Christians who are making comics. That's what gets them off. And then, like true SJWs, they point all of their dumb followers to Brigade and fire hose on Mike Miller, Edwin Boyette, myself, Tim Lim, Bean from Pa, you name it. If they're a Christian, they're going to get whacked by Comicsgate. Ethan Van Sciver called me a homophobe and a transphobe. Ethan Van Sciver, you are an SJW. Your organization, Comicsgate, is an SJW movement. And by the way, what gets rewarded gets repeated. So as long as War Campaign makes $50,000 on vestige, they're getting paid to put penis, dildos, and rainbows on their opposition. You're paying them, you're rewarding them. I hope they make millions of dollars to prove how stupid all of you are. That's what I hope.
One of the main kind of proponents and kind of enforcers of this tribalism, let's call it that, is a group called War Campaign, and they have been acknowledged both, between themselves as well as from Ethan, as Ethan Van Sciver superfans. Like that's no one disputes that.
The subject of War Campaign's memes had come up multiple times, and to some it was becoming a hindrance to the unity of Comicsgate. Mike S. Miller tweeted the now infamous Pride is a Sin tweet during Gay Pride Month, which got him heat among those in Comicsgate. All of these things would be capped off in the now legendary stream, The Fall of Rome, also known as the Soilum Witch Trials.
I mean, I had such good news for you guys, and now I'm pissed off.
Why does anything need defending with schemes and scams?
Or why do people need to be harassed for months? Right? Why do people need to be threatened? Why any of this? And half that stuff is wide out in the open.
I am Caesar of Comicsgate. I am now taking the mantle of leadership for this one moment. We now have purity testing in Comicsgate. I'm announcing purity testing in Comicsgate. The only people who are impure in Comicsgate are the people who are seeking impurity in others. I know that's a little bit of a catch-22, isn't it, Edwin? If you are actively seeking to exclude people from purchasing comics, supporting Comicsgate, and being a part of this community and this fandom, you are impure. You don't belong here.
But
And
I want to say real quick. You say that you reflect EVS, right? You guys reflect them, but
indirectly,
when you guys go attacking, independent creators or consumers, that's reflecting EVS. You guys making EVS look like shit. That's not right.
Well,
Critias was bullied by
talk
War
about
Campaign.
specific incidents.
Critias was bullied by War Campaign. It's just got to stop.
Praetorian, this is a man named Richard. Okay, he joined the War Campaign. I would say within about 3 months of us forming. What happened here? So Praetorian would always take things one step too far. He used the channel. So I had given access to the War Campaign channel to quite a few members, probably about 8 of our members, but he actually flagged another channel using our channel, which I just thought was completely unacceptable.
he flagged another channel using your channel, so he was
That's
actually
right.
trying to take down someone else's channel as
You
War
got it.
Campaign. All right.
That's right. Yeah. So I said to him, listen, that's not what we do. That's not acceptable behavior. Tyler, he had a book. He had taken a photo at a bookstore, and Prey Googled the UPC, and he somehow figured out where that UPC was from. It was from Kansas State. And then he said to him, you know what, you got to be careful because that picture is going to give away your location. This kind of stuff, this kind of paranoia and the rest. I mean, he was unstable. You know what? He's been to war. He claims to have PTSD, so this is the thing with him.
All right, you're deconstructing his character right now. Prey came to me and Mike and said he was deeply remorseful for anything he did. He said he had dirt on his hands. He had done bad stuff and was deeply apologetic.
I mean,
why don't you address the stuff that was done instead of trying to spin the messenger and deconstruct the message once again?
And what does it have to do with comics? What does the LARPing have to do with comic books? I've never understood that. Can anybody share that?
It was just fun. It was fun, and we used to have a show called The LARPening where we did actual Dungeons and Dragons, and it was fun.
I don't mean they have to leave Comicsgate.
You want them to just stop calling themselves War
I
Campaign,
want
Mike?
them to disband this bullcrap.
That's ridiculous.
Really? That is scaring off paying customers.
Some of the memes are really funny and tasteful. I think the one who did the one with the Magnum PI thing?
That was some funny shit. Yeah.
That was funny.
That
doesn't bother anybody.
That was funny. I am rarely offended on my own behalf. But when you're going after women, when you're going after people, when you've got your crew going into Facebooks, when you're sending coded messages to people so that they know you're alerting them that you have their personal information, it's scummy. Cut it out. And stop minimizing. Stop. All you got to do is say, we're sorry. We're sorry. If we made anybody feel afraid, we're sorry. You don't have to tell any jokes. You don't have to tell about fudge. I'm telling you,
What about
fans,
fudge? What is this fudge thing?
Fans, these people are going to keep
fudge,
tormenting you. You should shut your wallets. You never have to accept bullying, abuse, or harassment from anybody.
We're trying
if
to
we're going to make a joke about it, you should lock your wallets down.
Edwin, this is about fudge, brother. It's about fudge, man.
That is correct. Now, you know what the fudge thing about Tim Doyle? Is that new? Or no?
Well,
I think it's because Rose said that Mike looked like fudge. Is that what this is?
Anyways, you know what? Look, I'm just going to drop the jokes because obviously fudge is stepping over the line.
Eventually, Edwin Boyette and Mike S. Miller left Comicsgate when it came down to EVS choosing War Campaign over them. Edwin Boyette's departure was bittersweet for me, as he was the one who got me to join Twitter. And it was his voice that motivated me to the ideals of Comicsgate. I won't sit here and say I didn't join in the dog pile initially, as Boyette was portrayed as a villain in his departure. Hindsight has given me more appreciation for his views, but I had a lot to learn about what was really happening. Boyette did reach out to me and asked if he was helpful upon me joining Twitter. I didn't hesitate to tell him he was a gentleman. One of the first men in CG to give me honest critique of my book, and also one of the first critics who became a convert of my style. Meanwhile, Tim Lim and Doug Ernst were already at work with their respective books. Ernst with Soulfinder, and Lim with the first of his successful series, Common America. Jon Malin made a few guest appearances on War Campaign's Drawn and Backhold show, a riff of Mike S. Miller's Drawn and Quartered, where artists would compete in a draw-off, and the winner was chosen by votes from the chat.
Mike, I'm sorry. Put up a straw poll, Mike. Let's take a vote. How many people do you think are honestly going to be back? I'm kidding about the straw poll because I'll flood it. I'll flood it, Mike.
Yeah, that's what you do.
On this fateful night, Malin drew Ro Kabir as the head of a human centipede.
Hail, we got Mr. Jon Malin, the furry king himself. Hail, brother, how you doing?
Doing great. Hell War Campaign. I am here representing tonight Wolf Campaign. We're here to take. We're here for new recruits. We're looking for volunteers, and I use volunteers lightly. We're taking backholds from everyone we beat tonight. They are becoming Wolf Campaign members against their will.
Ro's facial expression told the story. He didn't seem amused. Needless to say, Malin won that night. It was the beginning of what would be the severance between Jon Malin and War Campaign. In our sector of CG, excitement was brewing for a slew of new books, including Wide Holidays, Ardana, the aforementioned Cyborg USA, Simon Potier's Blood Hunt, and War Campaign's own comic, Vestige.
Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to give me my $40 or do you not?
I'd be glad to give you $40. You've
Okay.
never asked me directly for $40, Phil. All you've done is
I've sent you multiple emails. I've shown it on video.
You've never sent me.
Do you want to give me my $40 in my hand, or do we want to walk off? Because I do not have time for your bullshit. You can give me $40 now and shut me up, or I can walk off because I have things that I need to do.
bclaymore@gmail.com. I've asked you many times.
I've sent it to you on Patreon multiple times. I don't know your Gmail.
bclaymore@gmail.com.
I've sent it to your Kickstarter. I've sent it to your Kickstarter multiple times, multiple messages.
Let me ask you this, Philip. Is that a reason to just attack me out of the blue?
Attack for you for what?
That you made up?
What did I make up?
Really? Your very first video about me was completely invented, and you know that.
Which one?
I had no idea that you were this crazy SJW.
State something that I states. You just engaged me.
So you can put it on your video. That's right. I want to have a conversation with you because you're not man enough.
I just want my $40. I have things to do. Are you going to give me my $40 now?
Let me ask you a question.
Are you going to give me my $40 that you owe me now, or should I just walk off?
Let me ask you a question.
Okay, then I'll just walk off.
Philip, I'd like to talk to you.
I don't want to talk to you unless you have $40. Okay, I'm going to call the police then.
You know, I went from 200 to 1,200 subs in like 4 months after I left Comicsgate, because I guess people in Comicsgate don't like comic-based content. I made multiple comic channels. I couldn't get more than 120, 130 subs. But I go and hang out, you know, just hang out in live streams with regular people, and then I'm getting hundreds or thousands of views just because I'm friendly.
A growing number of dissatisfied CG customers began leaving the movement over their heavier emphasis on drama rather than comic books. One of the biggest scars in CG were the growing number of late and unfulfilled books, including some that would never see the light of day. Books such as Cal Jamison's Shinobi Sasquatch, Andrew Huerta's Sovereign, and James Dean Anderson's Conflict Claws Out. The most high-profile of these never-to-be-fulfilled books was Detective Dead by Antonio Malpica, a.k.a. Critias.
About 40 pages on artwork, about 40 pages of ink, and about like 30 pages of color, 29 pages of color. You know, no lettering.
Out of 136 pages.
Yeah, out of 132.
You know, now, Mikey, you and everybody's asking where the money is. We have already put out on the table a few times. The money is gone. Am I wrong on that? The money's gone, right?
Right.
There is no money.
Critias read piece by piece where the money was spent, including personal bills.
This is miscellaneous. I spent $125 for miscellaneous to do a Detect the Dead like giveaways. I spent $250, on August and July of 2019 on a cable bill. I spent $170 for water. I spent $1686 for the entire year, and $1686 again for another entire year for a car insurance, 2018 and 2019. Then I spent $3,400 in rent around 2018. I spent $79.16 on school supplies. I paid $250 for Creative Market, which is for fonts for the book. I was trying to see what fonts will go well with the
paying for fonts.
The cover. Yeah, I bought multiple fonts.
Critias, what are you doing?
I don't know. I wanted the book to look pretty, so I was just like looking for good fonts for it.
Your letterer should have fonts though. Real talk.
He does, but I'm kind of picky about certain things, man. I just wanted that option to choose.
What are you doing? I'm looking at you funny style now because I'm like, fuck, dude. Why would you? If you are a professional letterer, you have fucking fonts.
Yeah.
He should have a variety of them. My letterer got all kind of motherfucking fonts, and you had to pay a licensing fee because they're being published. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh God.
As far as anything going on with EVS and Doug, none of that has anything to do with me. I like Doug and I like Ethan, and I have nothing to do with any of the stuff going on between them, and none of that has anything to do with me. This took a while to read, and I was pretty satisfied with it.
The unfulfilled and late books overshadowed the books that did fulfill, and there were quite a few that delivered, including John De La Rosa's Flying Sparks and Mike S. Miller's Lone Star, which delivered as far out as Australia. These are just some of the few books that I backed. College of the Dead, Captain Love. I'm in the middle of reading this. Definitely enjoyed this one so far. Berserker, not. Now, Jeff Lafferty has since, I don't think he's Comicsgate anymore. No, he's definitely not Comicsgate anymore. But when he did this, he was definitely Comicsgate. Obviously, he has left. But I like this book. I like the art in it. It's different, but I can appreciate different art styles. Not everything in the comic book world has to be of a particular art style. So definitely appreciate this. Will I get the second one? I think I will. Of course, Jon Malin's Graveyard Shift comes with the trading card. Of course, Ardana, first issue of who I think is going to be a character that's going to have a long shelf life in Comicsgate. So hopefully Wyatt will get on this. The pinnacle of all this is Sciver Fog, and it's interesting because when you look at the panels in this book, like each panel, and I guess it's only for those that really have been following Comicsgate for as long as I've been following it. Each panel, you can see in each panel, not just the care and the love for the art, not just the care and love for storytelling. We see the guy, Ethan, I'm talking about. You see his blood, sweat, and tears. I started pushing myself artistically after getting feedback for my art in Street Champion Road Warrior Drake. I wanted to make it better than it was when I started on it 2 years ago. But make no mistake, I was very motivated. The criticism at first was pretty harsh, and I was confused because, like the underground comics movement and the alternative comics movement before it, I was emulating a style similar to the likes of Eastman and Laird, Von Bodie, and German artists like Eckhard Breitschuh. It seemed, however, that there were some in not only anti-CG, but within CG that took offense to my art, but there were others who understood what I was doing.
Yeah,
cosplaying.
Yeah, that's why I think that Alizmat has done a better job than some of the other up-and-comers, despite the fact that his art's not quite in the same league. It's because, like, when you sort of drop his name, you know that, okay, that's the Road Warrior Drake guy. You know Road Warrior Drake. You know the character. Whereas you've got some other people that are, like, doing team books and stuff, and they're trying to do, like, more than what they should, and it's like, no, you just need to really master the concept and the pitch and the character, and he's done all of that astoundingly well.
The underground comics movement of the 1960s gave us magazines like Zap and Arcade, which showcased the comic artists of that era. The 1980s alternative comics movement gave us magazines like Art Spiegelman's Raw and Art Crumb's Weirdo, showcasing the artists of that era. Therefore, it only made sense that Comicsgate would have its own magazine in the form of CG Jumpstart.
Welcome to the first episode of CG Jumpstart Between the Panels.
Adam AF, the producer of his Arch City Comics streams, was one of the many contributors to Jumpstart, produced by Ro Kabir and Gat Hanzo of War Campaign. It also featured the talents of editor Steve Dye and the art of Simon Potier, Joe Ball, Peter Gilmore, and many others. Even Ethan Van Sciver himself seemed to want to be a part of it.
You guys are dickheads. You didn't even ask me. Like, you guys have got CG Jumpstarts, the Wizard Magazine's the first issue. And I'm not in it. Hey, you guys, thanks.
You did the fucking cover for us, man, for Vestige.
Well, yeah, we don't want to ask you to be in the magazine, guys.
Right?
You know,
ask you, brother. Right? You know,
what do you mean you're
not
going to ask me?
Let's not forget, man. Vestige 2 is going to feature a cover from you as well. I mean, how much can we ask of a single man who's busy running, you know, the daily affairs of Comicsgate and taking us
Putting
to the top?
me in the magazine is a favor to me. It's not me doing you a favor.
You understand? Because I'm in it and Ethan's not.
You put me in the magazine. It's a favor to me. I get press. You make me look cool.
Oh well, we mentioned you everywhere in the book. You know what I mean?
I wasn't invited to do anything.
Straight
you guys
up respect.
didn't say. Well,
straight up love, man. Straight up love. More than respect, love, brother.
And yes, yours truly managed to get some crumbs with an ad for Road Warrior Drake in the magazine. Arch City Comics streamed weekly promoting the magazine, spotlighting many of the Comicsgate artists who would participate in it.
I foresee everything's going great right now. Comicsgate itself is kind of building itself up from the inside. Dude, you don't fix what ain't broken, is what I'm telling you.
No, you know, we were just talking about Dan Frega. He did a stream earlier, and he was talking about he ended it early because he had to send out some emails. He said because he's kind of working with getting on a new creative team for Black Flag, because some of his guys that he usually works with are afraid that since he's CG now, that they're going to have some sort of stigma on them, and they don't want to work on Black Flag with them.
Yeah, it's some guys bow out.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've been there, man. I've had some colors tip out on me, but that's cool because he's like, you know, you roll with the punches, and you know the universe works in mysterious ways. So
hopefully he can get some people already within Comicsgate then to actually work on that. You know, like how fucking cool would that be?
It sounded like maybe something like that's happening. So
the movement did lose some prominent people. Englentine had already moved on by this point.
But I want to talk a little bit about the Comicsgate videos I have done, and I won't do any more. There was a while when I would do videos for people that I shouldn't have, and some of them I have actually privatized at this point. If you've noticed, I've distanced myself. There was a time when I would literally help anyone in the movement, anyone in the community, whether it was videos, platforming, or just talking with them. I always wanted to help, but it was never returned. It was never received. I was never respected in the community, I feel like, personally. And I'm not talking about subscribers. I'm talking about bigger names within the community. So I was a calm face and a girl shield is what I was. Oh, Comicsgate is misogyny. Oh, nope, here's a girl. That's what I was.
That means you got the blue ribbon of truth right there.
I've got a clearer version of truth.
Yeah, you drink liquor. I just drink beer. See, I'm the white trash. You're the trust fund baby.
Captain Cummings had defected from CG into what was grouped by those in Comicsgate as anti-CG. Cummings particularly was vocal about his hatred for Ethan Van Sciver. The Comic Book Hut shared a friendship with Cummings, and this would play out in a very peculiar incident regarding Peter Semeni of Alterna Comics.
He did not, I don't believe he got swatted. I think he made it up. People are going to get very angry hearing me say that. But there's no police report. There's no news articles, any local news articles about Peter.
In February 2019, Semeni had did a live stream where he was allegedly swatted. The stream had been privated, and no footage or report had come of it since. The Hut took advantage of the lack of receipts.
There's nothing on the website. There's no report. There's no police report after the fact. There's been no follow-up. There's been no arrest being made.
John De La Rose petitioned to be interviewed by Samedi to promote his book, Robotoad, Wrecked Manlet, a parody of Cyberfrog, Wrecked Planet.
I always liked Peter. Whenever I did a review of his books, he always wrote to me, he always retweeted the video. I had a little fluffle with him and with the Sourcast, Clint Stoker, back in November of this year, past year. And it seemed kind of odd that he would be in a stream where he was mocking one of his customers, and I was one of his customers. And then when I did the review of Feast of Famine, he didn't retweet it.
That's not gonna be good for me.
He didn't write to me. He always wrote to me. He didn't write to me. So I thought that was a little odd. And from that point, I basically didn't want to deal with him. I blocked him.
I need an answer now. I think I deserve it.
I know that Peter Samedi will always show me and show everybody with complete total respect.
You were supposed to understand.
He didn't write to me. He always wrote to me. He didn't write to me.
I'll make you understand.
The HUD's accusation of fraud towards Peter Samedi, from many in CG, seemed like another anti-CG attack. But what stunned many of us was when Captain Cummings joined the fray on Twitter and accused Samedi of outright lying about the swatting. He mentioned Samedi's ties to EVS and also mentioned the Comicsgate trademark by Preston Poulter, which we'll get to here in a bit.
I didn't know at the time. I found this out after I started investigating everything. But Ethan Van Sciver published a video on February 13th. This was the day after Peter Samedi was swatted. I'm not sure if it was published in the morning, in the evening, but in this video, he heavily implies that cosplayer Renfamous is who swatted Peter Samedi. There's no evidence that this occurred. Getting in arguments on Twitter does not mean that you committed a crime.
None of this is funny. Anti-Comicsgate harassers, even now, are getting support from mainstream comic figures. Whoever swatted Peter Samedi, that was attempted murder. Cooler heads need to prevail. Now.
I questioned if Peter Samedi was really swatted in February 2019. There was no evidence on the police blotter, on the Facebook page of the police department, or on the news. These are all things that you would think would show up if this really happened to Peter. He said police pointed guns at his head. That's very unfortunate. On May 20th, I said Peter Samedi blamed a woman that received death threats. I'd say that's a good enough reason to look into something. And it is. Peter Samedi responds, "Which woman did I blame? Show the proof as well if you want to start making accusations." I just read the evidence on here. Peter Samedi blamed Renfamous without any evidence. And let me tell you, arguing on Twitter is not evidence that somebody committed a crime. Was Peter Samedi stupid enough to listen to Ethan Van Sciver? Did he talk to him off camera? Did he watch his stupid video? Did Peter Samedi tell Ethan Van Sciver to make that video? This is why you hire legal representation.
Samedi expedited the process and closed the case, making not only the police report available publicly, but also the footage of the swatting from the live stream was now public.
It's definitely it's odd from a business standpoint and absolutely odd from a promotional standpoint in terms of if you're a creator, if you're a publisher. Oh, I got someone knocking at my door.
Show me a hand. Where's your girlfriend?
My girlfriend? Right here.
You just call 911?
No. Oh my God. Do you guys think it's the next building? This is.
That's what we were told.
Oh, nothing's from here. I'm Peter Samedi. Yeah, no, nothing's from here.
All right. Good night, Joe.
What?
Holy smokes. We to explain what we got a call, 911 call. A man saying that he just stabbed his girlfriend.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And he was thinking of hurting himself.
Oh my God.
That's why
Oh
you
my
were
Lord.
presented.
Oh my Lord.
Was there any commotion or anything like that?
No, I think it could possibly be someone might have thought that the building, because that gets mixed up all the time.
It could be SWAT too. Someone could call in a fake.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
Oh my
I'm sorry about that.
No,
We're trying to figure this out. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
He just released a video regarding this incident, and he was swatted.
The comic book cut then released a video acknowledging the truth of the swatting, but he did not retract his earlier statements.
You can hear in the background police coming to the home, and they asked him to put his hands up. It doesn't seem like they drew their guns. Peter does sound a little shocked, obviously. People are going to say, well, comic book cut, you should apologize. I said a very long time ago, I don't apologize.
I stabbed my girlfriend.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on?
I stabbed my girlfriend.
What do you mean?
I stabbed and killed her.
What? What's the address?
Yeah.
What's your name? What's your name?
Peter.
What's your last name, Peter?
S-I-M-E-T-I.
S-I-M-E-T-I?
Yeah.
Are you still there?
I think I'm going to kill myself. Yeah, I'm still here.
Hang on a second. This guy's just saying he stabbed and killed his girlfriend. Are you still there, Peter?
The knife's got blood everywhere.
Are you still out
I think
there?
I'm going to stab myself. Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead.
I still have the knife in my hand.
Okay, go ahead and put the knife down, Peter.
No, I'm not putting it down. Oh, God.
Peter? Peter, you still there?
After this, Cummings, one of the first to claim Comicsgate, would slip quietly into the background and away from anything tied to CG. He had since converted his YouTube channel into a Bible reading channel. Cummings would not be seen again in Comicsgate until 4 years later. So about that trademark. Preston Poulter, owner of Pocket Jacks Comics and the writer for his White Lily Comics and one of CG's vocal opponents in the anti-CG movement, filed a petition to trademark the Comicsgate name. Antonio Malpica discussed his communication with Preston over the trademark.
Preston reached out to me, right? And he goes, hey, I'm interested in buying Detective Dead, blah, 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 CG. So I said, well, I don't know. I don't think I want to sell it. I have to think about it, right? He wants to buy Detective Dead and I guess the CG trademark. And he never mentioned anything about backer information. When I finally signed into Twitter that day, because I wanted to see what everybody's replying about my update, I saw there was a rumor floating around that he was buying backer information. And I got emails in my campaign, which forced me to jump onto Twitter, And when I got on, I was like, whoa, what's going on? This is all false. He never asked to buy backer information, that was now he asked. And if I did Detective Dead, I would have never sold backer information because I'm not that type of person.
There were concerns among the CG community that if Poulter owned the trademark, any existing YouTube channels using the hashtag would get flagged. Ethan Van Sciver discussed how Anthony Romano, aka Dark Gift Comics, managed to save the trademark for EVS.
But he licensed the Comicsgate trademark from Critias and actually put out a book and put it for sale. And it sold at least one copy to my lawyer and his friend, who were able to prove that the mark was used in commerce by Critias redeemed himself big time. Say what you want about Critias.
he still owes people $38,000. What do you mean he redeemed himself?
Well, he's working on the book, but he did. He rescued the Comicsgate trademark from Preston Poulter. Sorry, man, that's great karma.
Okay, so are you gonna pay back that $38,000 to people then?
I don't know. I don't know it. But he's.
But how did he redeem himself?
Oh, I just mean karmically he did. He still owes people the money in the comics, man.
Yeah.
He's got to do
You
that.
should be
That's
more
his-
realistic. He didn't really redeem himself. He's still a cuck.
Preston filed a petition under his Common Sense Press label, the same label that published his White Lily comics. This would ultimately be his undoing.
People in the chat, especially War Campaign, Hail War Campaign, find all of the stuff that I want you to basically do a deep dive on Preston Poulter, and I want you to find everything that he's posted recently that's anti-Comicsgate, anti-Cecil, talking in any way about this campaign. Find his appearances on YouTube and Twitter, and I need you to store and archive them. Yeah, we are, if this guy proceeds to try to damage Cecil's livelihood, we are going to mobilize to fucking destroy him in court legally. We are going to destroy him utterly. We're going to enjoy it. It's going to be fun to do this because this guy needs to be stopped. He's reckless and out of control. And he's doing this because why? Who hurt Preston Poulter here?
One woman in particular took Ethan on that call. Her name was Sheila Allens, aka Sheila Aliens. Sheila had a history of some provocative modeling photos, to say the least, but she revealed the biggest deep dive on Preston.
Wait, hold on. Can I be more what? Soft and gentle?
Preston Poulter had done cuck porn. It was discovered that Poulter, along with his wife, Albie Ann, aka Mistress Roulette, had uploaded a series of videos in which he was on the receiving end of a sex appliance. In some of the other videos, he would simply watch another actress get it on with another man. In a series of now deleted tweets, Ethan went on a binge of tweets mocking Preston's porn history. He even posted screenshots from some of the more infamous moments of his videos. The exposure and derision that he received prompted Poulter to consider legal action and made threats of flagging anyone distributing the content. Sheila Aliens, in the meantime, protected her tweets from the intense engagement she was receiving. Preston made the claim that the videos were pirated, but this proved to be demonstrably false. The videos themselves were uploaded by Mistress Roulette herself under her public Pornhub account, and Preston himself, under Mr. P, linked some of the material to his Pocket Jacks Comics website. Poulter was then successful in having his videos removed from his own public accounts online. All this led to a debate on whether Preston was qualified to call out War Campaign for their quote-unquote dildo memes.
So we have a group that uses a lot of homoerotic humor, a lot of degrading homoerotic humor, and is, frequently getting banned from Twitter. They have to go through a lot of different accounts and a lot of alts, and they tend to harass people who don't want the attention, such as being from Pennsylvania. And we see this group in action, and I can't say, boy, they certainly seem like a homoerotic bunch, and Rose sure does talk about backholes all the time. Oh, but if I add on a facial expression, that makes me a hypocrite.
But what you're more than welcome to. But just know that when you when
right.
things that you have done in the past come out that are somewhat homoerotic themselves, that's hypocritical.
No, it's not. So let's say I'm just a full-on homosexual. Let's say I love dudes and I really have no interest in women. All right. But let's say I'm not out in the open about that. And let's say I'm out in society and I see somebody who's engaging in a lot of degrading homoerotic humor. And they are absolutely attacking people consistently. And you're saying, I need to address them differently. I can't maybe try to shame them or try to call attention to what they're doing or mock it in any way because really I'm a homosexual myself. Therefore, I got to give them a pass.
No, you could, but if you're using homosexuality as a degrading form, that would be hypocritical. Yes.
And your you're saying that I use homosexuality in a degrading form by the facial expression I make when I say they're a homoerotic bunch.
By the context of how you put it, yes.
There's too much drama. You've got the creators that act like they act just like the quote SJW creators that we were that we were all trying to get away from joking forever about people's dead parents to telling people to fuck off. You've got you had War Campaign with all the dildo memes, which was just
and then they want to say it's just memes, when it's like, when you're taking it to this point and you're putting it out to a professional's audience, this is cancel culture.
Well, some of those professionals in Comicsgate were liking them or even retweeting them or giggling about them in the replies.
I don't think like the dildo memes are necessarily like the biggest issue. I think it's the relentlessness.
It was
that
it was
happened.
the relentless. It was the constant bombardment of things.
Precedent would seek harassment charges against Ethan Van Sciver, as well as the ongoing CG trademark battle. And then Rob Cacy liked the tweet. Malin put out the now famous tweet regarding platform rights. Superharem writer Wenger replied, followed by a Kay Brady reply referring to the group as posers. Kay Brady himself stated numerous times his tweet was not directly referencing Malin, but the creators as a whole. Rob Cacy liked the tweet, especially considering Kay Brady was one of his customers. This prompted Malin to send Cacy what would appear to be a night letter. Cacy responded to Malin's question, and instead of discussing this in private between the two of them, Malin went out to Twitter and the court of public opinion. Malin put out a tweet referring to the knives in his back from a creator he had promoted. While he didn't name him, it got the community guessing. He announced he would be canceling his Comicsgate Presents streams where he would promote creators with their books. This led to Liam Gray, who at the time was writing his own book, Xenotype, and also the host of his morning show, Live with Liam, to bring on Rob Cacy, who outed himself as the creator Malin was referring to. Malin then joined the stream. What followed stunned most of us creators.
I wanted to talk a bit about, I don't know how much of it you saw. I don't know how much of it you saw, but we're trying to figure out who you were talking about in your tweets to figure out who'd stabbed you in the back, because it sounded like there were a few people, and we're like, we're going to follow the trail, we're going to follow the clues and figure out who it is. And then Splendopia came on and he expressed his sort of views that it was himself, and that's where we're at.
I went to great extent not to bring up his name, not to make this about him. I didn't want this to be a dog pile on him.
I appreciate that, John. No, John, you made it.
Now, first thing is, Rob, where did I hurt you before yesterday?
You never hurt me, John. Where did I hurt you?
Okay.
Where did I hurt you?
Let's hold it right there. I've never hurt Rob. Okay. Now, someone goes along on Twitter, responding to my thread about platform rights, thinking that he was responding to Anna Cecil. I don't know, one of those guys. Mm-hmm. Had nothing to do with them. So this guy comes in my thread, calls me a poser, and Rob comes along, hits like on that.
I hit retweet too, John. I hit retweet too.
Okay.
Let's get the story full.
Dig yourself deeper. Yeah, sure. Great. Go ahead. Now, this is a guy I haven't wronged. This is a comic skater. Sorry, Rob, promoted you. I've gone on stream.
I know, John. I appreciate it.
Mentioned your book. I put your trailer in Malin After Midnight video.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I support you.
And this is the thanks I get. And this is the thanks I get from people like Rob.
You're overreacting.
So this is why I shut down Comicsgate Presents.
Because I retweeted a tweet.
There is no gratitude. There is no respect.
Bullshit.
No. You think that's respectful for me to go and hit like on a tweet from someone calling you a poser?
I think retweeting.
Is that respectful?
I think retweeting and liking a tweet
in
a hailstorm of controversy. I retweeted and liked hundreds of tweets yesterday. in relation to this controversy.
Right.
Very many. John, I think I've been really, really clear that I respect you, I admire you, I appreciate you having me on.
Great way of showing
I don't think that me liking and retweeting something is a sign of disrespect or a knife in your back. I think I think you have cabin fever, John, and I think you need to go for another walk on the treadmill.
Sure.
Well,
yeah, I was
can I
on
just-
treadmill.
can I
Thank
just
you.
ask
Yeah, you need to go
something?
for another walk
I'm-
and take a
I'm
break.
trying to
Yeah,
be
I think you're a fucking loser. That's what I think. I think you're a fucking asshole. I think you're a fucking cunt.
Jon Malin, the self-professed coach of Comicsgate, the stoic, dry personality who talked about grabbing an oar in this boat we called CG, called one of our peers an asshole and a cunt over a liked tweet. Within seconds, the respect many of us had for this guy was replaced with anger, betrayal, and absolute disgust over the behavior Malin was exhibiting towards a smaller creator. And it was about to get worse.
That's what I think about you, Rob, because you don't do that. You wouldn't do that. I hope you wouldn't do that to someone like Ethan. I hope you wouldn't do that to someone like Ro, but you felt just fine doing it to me. And anyways, I say, wow, this is someone that I promoted. So I reached out privately to Rob because, again, I didn't want to make this a big thing. I said, do you have an issue with me? Is there some reason that you're liking a tweet? I didn't know you retweeted.
And
but
what did I say? What did I say? I said,
and
no,
he said,
John, I love
you. He said, now look, this is the guy that could be your friend, everybody. He said, I was just following the parade.
It was a parade.
It's a parade. It's a fucking parade, everybody.
Let the world know. Let the world know. Let the world be aware. John thinks I'm a cunt and a loser.
Yeah, you're a fucking cunt.
Hey,
100%. You're a fucking cunt, dude.
I just want to know why you liked the tweet calling John a poser and retweeting it. What was your intention there? What were you thinking in that moment? Can you just honestly extrapolate?
I was going down that thread. I was going down that thread and hitting likes on it because I think John's post was about platforming people, which I agree with his main point. And I liked and retweeted that tweet, his main tweet. And then I just went down and liked a bunch of tweets like in that thread. And that Kay Brady tweet I retweeted because he was speaking to the bigger conversation about, hey, this is it was you guys are being morons because it's just, who cares if somebody likes this cover? And I thought that was an interesting perspective and I liked it. And I retweeted it more as part of a general conversation than an endorsement of like that sentiment in that timeline.
Thank you for saying that, because that's why you're a fucking lying cunt, dude. You're such a fucking piece of shit. Dude. Look, here's what you should have done. When I reached out to you in private in this moment of peace saying, hey, do we have an issue? Here's what you should have done. Sorry, dude. I thought that was in a different thing. I didn't mean it. I'll unlike it. I'll unretweet it. No, that was my bad. I know it looks bad.
I should not have done it.
Fucking done, but you didn't fucking do it because you wanted to dig your knife. You wanted to get somebody like me to come on here and try to elevate your own self. That's exactly what you did.
I didn't want to be on the stream, John. I didn't want to be on the stream at all today.
To build the stairway to try to lift yourself up, and you're
so full of shit. You're so full of shit right now, John. You need to take a break.
He did fight us for ages. We were like trying to puzzle it out. He didn't want to come on. It wasn't until we started sort of getting a bit close to stuff, and we're like,
I wanted you to know that I liked you and appreciated you supporting my book.
Thank you. You show it so well. You show it so well.
John, do you hear yourself?
What?
Do you hear yourself, John? Do you hear yourself on the stream?
Yeah.
Okay, well, think about what you're saying in this stream. Think about it.
Think about what?
Just think about your behavior. I think your behavior is completely out of line today.
I think if that's Rob, I can't see who's moving because everything on here is locking up. Rob, if that's you talking, fuck you. Fuck you, dude. Okay. Yeah, how's that for you?
Well, I don't appreciate it, but thank you. Thank you for working it out. Now I see that. Like now I understand it. It was about me because I liked and
yes, it was about you. Yes, it was about you.
So there you go. So John, I'm gonna say like to that. That's not how Twitter works, man. I wasn't using Twitter.
Don't tell me how fucking Twitter works, dude. I know how Twitter works.
Can I say something, John? Can I talk? All right. When I'm using Twitter, I'm scrolling through my phone. and I'm just reading what everybody else is saying, and I'm liking it, and I'm retweeting
You're a drunk driver. You're an irresponsible drunk driver is what you're saying you are on Twitter. You don't care what you like. You don't care what you retweet. Hey, guys,
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, someone's a poser? Oh, Rose a poser? Like, retweet? Don't, dude, you're so full of shit.
That's not what I'm saying.
You saw an opportunity to try to take a jab at me because you wanted to make it advantageous to you.
No, John, that's not true at all.
Everyone knows who you are now, Rob. Good job. All it took was a fucking knife in someone's back who never did you wrong.
Eventually, Ro Kabir joined the stream. Ro, having already had bad blood with Malin, and now seeing what was being done to Rob, was going to take the bullet for him.
John, I walk in here, man, and I hear you're tearing this dude apart. Okay, what the hell's going on?
It's resolved, bro. It's creators disrespecting creators within Comicsgate.
No, it seems to me, man, that you're swinging your dick. That's what it is, guy. On top of on a tiny creator who's done nothing but tweets some goofy stuff that you and I and everybody else tweets every day, guy. That's what it's Twitter, bro.
That's it, bro. Swinging my dick.
Yeah, that's what it is. Guy, your ego's out of control, man. No offense to you, dude.
And you are a creator too, bro.
Your ego is way out of control, bro.
Your ego is out of control, bro. Your ego
is out of control. Dude, you got to check yourself, Pop. Something's going on. I don't know what it is, dude.
Check yourself real hard. There needs to be a little bit of fucking diplomacy, a little bit of loyalty, right? Loyalty. Remember when that mattered? A little bit of
loyalty, bro. Loyalty.
And creators and everybody that's in this boat rowing. A little bit of loyalty for everyone that's in the boat rowing. Don't you think that's fair, Ro?
All right. Can I answer now? You ready? Okay, loyalty is not broken, brother. When another man says something to you as in jest or a jab on Twitter, that's not loyalty's not gone.
Out of here.
That
Get
kind
the
of
fuck
thing. That's
out
not
of
being
here,
disloyal.
Ro, you're a poser. How's that? How's that? You're a poser, Ro. You're fake. You're phony. Hit like, hit retweet.
Guy, it's
like
Twitter,
that?
bro. It's Twitter,
like
man.
That?
Are you kidding?
How does that feel, Ro? How does that feel? Because you're a real person. You're not some some anonymous person hiding behind a name.
Are you serious right now, brother? One message like that, and that's it. We're going to bring a guy on, and you're going to tear him apart in front of everybody?
Because somebody else has a smaller platform than me or has put in no effort to build a platform. I don't know Rob's case. I don't even know if he has a channel. But because they have a smaller platform than me, I should not talk back to another creator now? Is that what it is?
Can I ask you one question?
Wait, Bro, I can't be a fucking man and say, look, dude, chill the fuck out.
Guy, listen, man, I saw one message for you yesterday. You posted up and you're like, hey, I got knives in my back. It's like all of a sudden the whole world is against you. Dude, think about it. Put it in perspective. That's all I'm saying, man.
Did I say the whole world was against me, Ro, or did you put those words in my mouth just now?
But it sounded like it when I read this tweet.
Did I sound like it,
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying you're way off on this one, man. You're way off, guy.
Yeah, oh my God. People are fucking... John's world is blowing up right now because he's upset that a couple of people are pissing him off. Anything else you want to put in my mouth, Ro?
All right, here's this. How about this? Okay, let me take it another way. Because I honestly, dude, I like you, man. I think you're a good guy, man. But here it is. This is the thing. Right now, it's like it's an overreaction. How about that? Can I say that? It seems like a massive overreaction to a very minor slight.
Specifically, what is the overreaction?
Like I said, I walk in here and I see what you're saying. The way that you're denigrating this man about. I mean,
we're talking about what started this. We're talking about what started this, right? Right?
Think about. Okay, put it this way. How about this? Let me try and explain it another way. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So here you are, right? You've got a lot of this. You've got power and influence in this movie.
Oh, shut the fuck up, bro. Go
and now you are. No, I'm serious, brother. Listen to me. Can I finish what I said here? So now you're taking. Can I please continue?
My fucking business and my fucking reputation.
Can I please say something?
I help the fucker out.
Please continue, brother. Listen to me.
A big dog, little dog.
I'm saying here it is, right? You're bringing this dude on. Guy fucking. I don't think he even broke 10 fucking K. You know what I'm saying? And you want to just shit on him in front of everybody. It don't make sense, man. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't make sense.
You're a fucking piece of shit. You're a
Who,
fucking
me?
piece of I know how
I'm
you're
a-
trying to frame this with big guy versus little
I'm a
guy.
piece of shit. Come on, man.
You're pulling a fucking
Come
Doug
on,
Snake
no,
with your
bro.
little
Don't
cunt.
say that to me. Don't
Yeah,
say that
go
to
ahead,
me, dude.
go
No,
ahead.
man. No,
Go
listen.
ahead.
Can I
Yeah,
say my?
big guy trying to boost his ego. Fuck off.
Don't not platform
We're
people because of
over
me.
it. I'm over it. I mean, you're not, but go ahead.
John, I'm fine. You are being an asshole.
You weren't.
No, I was not being an
Now,
asshole.
let's say
You
that-
are
let's
being
say
an
that-
Then
asshole.
that's
Let's
it,
say-
bro. I mean, we're resolved. I can't sit here and back and forth, and try to, you were an asshole. No, I wasn't. You were an asshole. I wasn't. I mean, look, you hit retweet and like on something
John,
that you never would have done for
I'm a
Ro.
man,
You
you're
never
a
would have done
man.
that for
Life goes
Ethan.
on, dude. Life goes on, dude.
After Cacy left the stream, Ethan Van Sciver joined and sided with Malin's treatment of Rob Cacy. I can tell you from being in one of the main CG rooms that many of the creators were pissed off, not only with Jon Malin over his abusive and irrational behavior, but also at Ethan Van Sciver for co-signing the treatment of said creator. It was on this day that the peasants of Comicsgate became a thing. The smaller creators knew where their place was, and it was far away from the bigger creator circle. The divide was complete. The memes were flowing, signaling the kings and peasants of Comicsgate were a thing. Whereas the defections of Miller, Boyette, Tenaple, Comic Book Hut, John De La Rose, Nasser Abadi saw these guys leave the movement, this new wave of defection simply divided the customer base and creators from each other. Comicsgate was no longer a unified movement.
People don't like this. People wouldn't, if like me and Mike started fighting, like really fighting, it would upset people. Like people would be unhappy about it. One time I said to Zach, I said, what would happen? Like, what if I betrayed you? And he just went, you would hurt a lot of people's feelings. You know what I mean? Like Zach's always straightforward like that. Like if you betrayed me, you would hurt a lot of people's feelings. It's not about he didn't say my feelings. He said a lot of people's feelings. And I always think about that.
Hey everyone, it's Comic Artist Pro Secrets. I want you to meet a dear friend of mine, a guy who really loves comic books.
Hey, it's Nick Barucci. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, Ethan.
You are the CEO and president and owner of Dynamite Comics?
And publisher, yeah.
And publisher. How long have you been in business?
Dynamite's been in business 12 years. The parent company, Dynamic Forces, is in its 25th anniversary.
It was announced in 2019 that Ethan Van Sciver, on behalf of Comicsgate, was going into business with Dynamite Entertainment on a series of projects.
Ethan Van Sciver, he is teaming up with Dynamite Comics to do some crossover covers with his character Cyberfrog. If you guys don't know EVS, he is a 26-year veteran of the comic book industry. He's worked for Marvel and DC, and now he is going on his own, doing some independent stuff, raising a bunch of money for his new book, Cyberfrog, Blood Honey.
The Dynamite Van Sciver relationship goes deeper than some people realize, going as far back as 2010, when Dynamite purchased Harris Comics and their library of content, including its biggest asset, Vampirella. Cyberfrog was not part of that deal, as the Harris trademark for it lapsed by then. Ethan maintained a friendship with Dynamite head Nick Barucci before he joined Comicsgate, and it had been speculated that Ethan was getting resources from Dynamite, including printing and fulfilling. Anna Mello, aka that Star Wars girl, was a prominent fixture in the Fandom Menace, a fan movement dedicated to exposing the terrible writing in Disney's Star Wars movies. Ethan Van Sciver and Cecil also had ties to the Fandom Menace, the former getting a bulk of his following from his appearances in the High Council streams that he co-hosted with Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers and Jeff Hicks from World Class Bullshitters. Anna didn't officially step foot into Comicsgate until a Dynamite deal with EVS, when she would do her own Vampirella cover. But tragedy also followed her. Her sister, Ellen, went missing for a time, and after much searching, the tragic news was revealed of her passing. Many in Comicsgate, including members of War Campaign, donated to both Anna's sister's memorial as well as Jon Malin's nephew's memorial. This was, of course, prior to the Rob Cacy incident. Roe from War campaign was in the middle of a controversy when it was believed that at the time Anna's sister was missing. He had made a series of jokes about her disappearance. This was before the sad news hit.
May I speak, milady? May I speak,
Do not
please?
call me that. You
I
do not
do.
know me
I
well
would
enough.
never think to myself, what hubris to assume that my own petty comments would impinge on any kind of pain that you're feeling, that incredible amount of pain that your entire family's ensconced in. How would anything that I would say or do, may I please speak, milady? How would anything I say or do compare to the pain that you're feeling?
All you
The
have
pain
to do is apologize.
that you're feeling has
All
got
you
nothing to
have
do
to
with
is
what
apologize.
I'm.
I know you want an apology. I understand.
Why is an apology so important? No, it's not going to
Because she's hurt. Let's be real. She's hurt. Well, don't say stuff like that to her. It's because she's hurt, guys.
To my
No,
sister.
trust me.
She
I
is not
understand
here
how
to defend herself.
if anyone feels how Anna feels right now or knows how she feels, it's me. So,
Pan also had dealt with a similar tragedy regarding his sister.
we're all on your side. I don't think that Roe meant to hurt you. He was being a fucking rotard. That's how he is,
Yeah,
man.
he can apologize for it. He can be a man and apologize, but he's not. He's being a fucking pussy.
Anna, do you think he legitimately would be that evil to joke about something like that?
He was.
And nah, but he did. I mean, nobody knew what was going on. We didn't know what was going on.
Oh, if you followed it close enough, you would know. If you followed
Well, I mean,
it
that's-
up close enough to know about it, then you could know. Like,
Well, that's part of the issue too. Is we don't know
you-
you as well as Jeremy does. We didn't
I
know the whole
and you
story.
guys you asked me earlier to use common sense. Okay, use common sense right now. Why on earth would I make such a fuss about it, getting everyone rallied up and trying to find her if it wasn't a big deal?
Well, I mean, it's just like Roe was saying. I mean, we thought the girl took off with her boyfriend. It happens.
You know
It's
what?
not.
You don't
Nobody
think
knew
I
how
wouldn't have
sinister
thought
it would
about that?
end.
You can. It's one thing. I understand the whole argument with SJWs. It is one thing to not want to apologize to a joke out of principle because it's what you believe in and stuff like that. But when you're in a tight-knit community like this, I came on here because I knew people had concerns about the fact I have this cover.
Likes to fuck around. We all like to have fun. I don't think he was considering maybe the full scope of it. Like, we obviously didn't know like what had happened. So, I mean, you got to forgive him on this. I don't think he means you any harm at all.
Yeah, I truly don't, Anna. I truly don't. In fact, you know what? When I see hurtful comments out there directed at you because of this cover, the quality of the cover, which is controversial, you know what? I stay out of it and I tell people who are out there saying very rude things, I tell people who are saying very rude things about you that no, keep it professional. Keep it professional, please.
I am.
Let me just say, while I have the chance to Anna, I'm very sorry for your loss.
I'm very sorry for your loss. Yeah, fuck yeah, we are. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. My heart goes out to you. My family's prayers to you and to your family.
Anna's Vampirella cover became a subject of much debate, not just regarding art quality, but also whether criticism was welcomed by creators and where the line was drawn with the criticism. Some of her critics of the cover point to some of her earlier work as being better. But the memers went to work expressing their views of her cover. Cecil became noticeably defensive of the critiques. While not challenging people's views of the cover, he seemed to be responding to what he thought was the harshness of the criticism. Many of her critics also pointed out that Anna had not done any promotion or investment in CG creators prior to her Dynamite gig.
I think that you're a good guy, Cecil. I think a lot of people love you and you add a lot to the community. I mean, look at how much I supported your book for and how I supported your book. And I think you'll understand that I'm not against you in any capacity. I wish no ill will towards you. And I just want the community not to be fighting over this anymore, truthfully. No, he's a customer. I take orders from no one, added to Oz.
Okay.
Whoops. Okay, man. Well, thank you very much for considering it, at least, Cecil. And if you change your mind, you have the link.
There seemed to be a distancing between the CG top guys and customers in the movement. Heather Antos, not that long ago, tweeted that comic book pros were not customer service reps. Some in CG began to ask if this was a sentiment among the top guys in Comicsgate.
I don't know. I mean, hold on. I'm not going to apologize. I don't care who puts me on a stream in front of. I don't give a fuck. 3,000 people. She is Malin's work girlfriend. She's the Heather Antos of Comicsgate. That's what she is.
Rowe was no longer hiding his resentment for Anna. It was becoming the consensus, not just by some of the guys in War Campaign, but also within many in the creator customer circles, that Anna's vampire on the cover, as well as her presence, was becoming divisive, invoking Yoko Ono and the Beatles. For the first time in CG, War Campaign memers went after the top guys in Comicsgate.
Wait, D. Garcia says embarrassing display by Malin and Cecil. What have I done exactly? I'm fucking learning out that the guys are still going after me today. Were going after me 2 fucking years ago.
Former War Campaigner Praetorian had dropped his video on, of all things, the Nurkish Discord gay op. This would no doubt trigger Cecil and Jon Malin, who will go on a rant against War Campaign.
So, like I've already told you guys, everyone's going down after this. So War Campaign has already said, you guys aren't allowed to talk about this.
Well, I'll talk about why I'm pissed at Pan now. He's repeated the same fucking lie for over a month. This is how I know he's a fucking liar. He keeps saying, well, Cecil's just mad because he kept telling people not to make fun of Anna's cover. Let me just ask you a question, Pan. Can you show me one time I said that or tweeted that?
I ain't got time for Pan. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't have zero time for Pan.
Hold on, fucking John.
That motherfucker better get on camera. He wants to come in here on me.
Hold on, John.
It's going to be fucking on.
Pan, for a month, you've been telling that lie so much that it's fact now. Cecil's mad that you cannot show me a tweet or a fucking time I said do not criticize Anna's cover. In fact, I looked up. I have over 35 tweets that start with, if you think Anna's cover shit, you should be able to say it. I start the fucking tweet with that 35 times. But here's what I did accuse you of. You guys fucking said Ethan, Malin, Kelsey, Cecil are bringing the milkshake girls, which means ruining Comicsgate. That's when I started getting mad. And then all of a sudden, you guys fucking realized I had a point that you guys, so you changed the argument and said, no, they're just defending the cover. I never fucking defended the cover. Go get your fucking receipts. I got them. I got 35 fucking tweets where I start them by saying, if you don't like the cover, that's fine with me. You're allowed to criticize art. The whole reason Comicsgate started was criticism of fucking what's going on. You're full of fucking shit, Pan. Get in here, you fucking piece of shit. Liars from the fucking.
Pan comes in, I'm fucking out. He better be on camera when he comes in. Or don't bother.
Roe fucking lied from day one when he
get Roe in here.
When he fucking lied to your face about the fucking beheading thing. These guys were shit from the beginning. Fucking garbage. And here they are fucking stinking the fucking joint up fucking 3 years later. They tried to take me and John out last month out of the fucking blue. I never fucking said, back. When have I ever said a word against War Campaign?
Yep.
And all of a sudden, a month ago, me and John became fucking public enemy number one. Why did we have to be taken out all of a sudden? Because we weren't beholden to Roe and fucking Pan and Gat. We weren't controllable. So the fucking way to ruin them, get them out of Comicsgate is go after them.
Dan, I'm really sorry, by the way. Dan must be very uncomfortable. Do you need to go? Do you want to?
No, man.
Run?
I'm listening.
That's why War Campaign had to come after me. You go back for 3 years, see if I've ever said a fucking bad word about War Campaign. Didn't need War Campaign, all of a sudden had a fucking target on their back.
Mm-hmm. And they implied they're coming after somebody else in tonight's stream on D Live. I ain't saying any names.
Who are they coming after? Who are they coming after?
Certain Bunny.
They're coming after Frega?
Well, he bypassed he went around the gate.
They don't trust him. They don't trust him. So they're going to put it out there. They're going to let him know. He's in their sights already.
Listen to the D Live clip and judge for yourself if what Malin and Cecil were saying was accurate.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a nice guy.
So am I kind of, Ro?
Yeah, of course you're a wigger, dude. But that's cool. You know what I mean? Whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people are going to be like, oh my god, he called Frega a wigger. Oh no.
Like, who gives a
we
fuck?
we got wiggers in Comicsgate. Come on.
Yeah, man. Take it easy, dude. You can be a wigger. Don't worry about it, motherfucker. Got J Balls 1980s. Fragga follows all of my socials. Very polite and cool, dude. Well, yeah, I mean, you know what? Mitch Breitweiser used to follow me when he was funding his book. So, you know
Now, let's not assume that he's a bitch.
Yeah, I'm just saying. You know what I mean? I'm kind of done giving the benefit of the doubt, bro. That's just me, though. You know, fucking
like when,
mine's
you know,
reserved. Mine's reserved at this point. I've seen a
When
lot
he
of
gets,
shit.
Black Flag fulfilled, like, you know, everyone
Fuck yeah,
would be
man.
really happy. And,
Yeah. I haven't backed it. I didn't back Black Flag. I backed a lot of other books, but I didn't back that. But Black Flag 2, 1 comes out, everybody gets it, and it looks cool. I'll back number 2, sure, and I'll buy number 1, no problem. That's just what I'm doing.
I don't really get the bitch made vibe from Fragga at all.
No, he just seems like a normal, regular guy to me.
A regular wigger.
How did fucking this bunny hop around their gate? He's got to be fucking destroyed.
Good luck.
I was there. I heard him say it. Ro.
Torian was just a fucking scapegoat. He was your patsy. You were all in on it, you fuckers.
Okay, I'm ending the stream.
Ro and Gathanzo did not take kindly to EVS allowing Malin and Cecil to go uncontested in their allegations against them. And Pan in a DM to EVS told him he was done with him having people lie about a fan group. Ethan responded with, "Standing by me isn't letting my inner circle be sniped at by other war campaigners, Pan. You want to become what they say you are? Go against me and see how it goes." Pan, on behalf of War Campaign, would make one final appearance on Ethan's Comicsgate live stream.
We're moving on. We're gonna do Drawn and Backhold. Coming up next week, we have Carlo Rowe, Death Sworn. We're gonna have Rob Willis on the show with us. We're Comicsgate, man. We're just, you know, not gonna be on the big channel so much, I guess.
Oh, well, that is your choice, because you guys had my ear. I love War Campaign. I feel like I've always treated you guys with respect, and you know, I expect you guys to trust my judgment at least a little bit about stuff.
I'll always respect what you've done for Comicsgate and what you've done for us. I mean, I've had a lot of fun doing this, and I have a lot of fun doing this, and I owe a lot of it to you. So, thank you very much, and always the chat. You know, you guys make it worthwhile for all of us. You know, I just think we're gonna go in a different direction, and it is what it is. I mean, you're going to allow guys to come up and lie about us and just tell fucking bullshit when we're trying to do right by Comicsgate. And, you know, that just breaks the trust. And like I said, I can't stand by and let that happen. I got to peace out. So it is what it is. Thanks for having me on. You know, hail Comicsgate.
All right, Pan. See you later, pal.
Take care.
Ethan, I get you're pissed off right now. Stop what you're doing.
Don't talk shit about my friend Dan Fragga. He is a hard worker.
Talk
He's going to
shit. I bought
produce
his
this
book yesterday, dude.
He's going to produce this book. Do not compare him to Mitch Breitweiser. He's
I
going
have
to
faith
produce
he
his
will.
comic.
I have faith he'll get the book.
Then
done because
tell
I
Ro.
backed it for the
Then
second
since
time
you're Ro's
yesterday.
second in command, you're his little lick spittle. You
There's
tell that
no fucking
motherfucker
command.
not to talk shit about
Oh.
my friend.
Oh, relax, dude. People can give their opinions. People can give their opinions, and there is no command structure. What do you act like real, dude? Get your head out of your fucking ass.
The war between War Campaign and the EVS Malin Cecil trio took an ugly turn when Cecil started tying the Anna memes to CG Jumpstart. I remember in the DM room when Cecil had dropped that first tweet linking Jumpstart to the Anna memes. Adam AF from Arch City Comics said only one word: fuck. Cecil linking Jumpstart to the Anna memes was the very tactic EVS feared would happen had the SJWs gotten wind of Nurkish's Discord and tying it to Comicsgate. It was now the top members of Comicsgate using this very tactic. Some of the more controversial memes included referencing Anna's deceased sister, Ellen. Things became ridiculously heated when a Twitter account by the name of Despotilus began warring with war campaigners on Twitter over the Anna memes. War campaigners started seeing their doxes being spread on Twitter. Specifically, information about Pan's late sister was being spread.
Hey guys, hey Oz, thanks for having me on. Hey Ethan.
Yep.
So you're saying that I'm telling people to spam your chat with shit about my dead sister. What's that about, brother?
I don't know. You got to.
You got any proof of that? You got any proof of that?
Oh, settle down. Let me answer you.
No, I'm gonna tell you. You keep my sister's name out of your fucking mouth, or we're gonna have problems. You got me, buddy?
Pan, I've never said anything about your sister. I don't
Bro,
know where.
It's all over Twitter. Shut your fucking mouth, or we're gonna have problems. You fucking got me?
I don't even know your sister's name, and I haven't said anything about your
shut
sister.
Up. So quit saying that I'm fucking spamming your chat with shit about my dead sister. Those are paid members of your fucking channel, motherfucker. You want the proof? Fuck you.
Pan, what was the stuff that you were saying about, you are talking about my sister you're gonna raise the dead? What were the death threats that I was receiving yesterday?
Death threats?
Or
no,
what seemed like
no
death threats?
No, you're gonna go into business with my sister if you keep fucking around with her name.
What?
Buddy.
I'm sorry. Wait, what does that mean?
Fuck around and find out.
Oh, for fuck's sake! You think Despotilus is me? Okay, I am not Despotilus.
No, I don't.
Pan.
I didn't say that. But I am holding
Pan, that is not. No, you cannot hold me responsible for gay ops alts that are pretending to be me.
When did you come out and say, "Oh my God, why did you guys dox War Campaign? You shouldn't have done that." When the fuck did you say that?
On Kiwi Farms? You can't blame me for what goes on Kiwi Farms. I don't do that. I have nothing to do with that.
Right.
You have an account there.
You're the biggest gay opper around, bro. We know your fucking game.
Pan, I'm not a gay opper.
Oh, you want us to prove it?
Pan, I don't get involved in gay ops.
All right.
Drop the receipts.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Pan,
Like a waste of time.
Pan, you've got to prove that I'm doxing my customers.
Keep my
I have not doxed.
your mouth,
Pan, I don't know your sister.
You're
I don't know who your sister is. You're threatening me over your sister. I don't know who she is. You said I'm going to join her in business. I said, what is this about?
You're telling Charlie's London that I'm instructing people to spam
Because
your
there are
chats.
people in my chat now who are saying very strange things right directly after you said
Those are your fans, bro.
that right after you said that you're going to raise the dead and march them upon me or some bullshit like that.
Those are your
What are you
fans.
doing, Pan? Pan, what are you getting up to?
I'm telling you.
Pan, what are you
Fuck
getting
my
up
family.
to cover? What are you getting up to cover for what you said about Anna? What are you getting up to?
Whoa, brother. I've never
Don't
said
fuck
anything.
with me about this bullshit. I had nothing to do with doxing you. I don't talk about your
Shut
sister.
your mouth for a minute.
No, you shut the fuck up, Pan. Fucking
when have I ever said
retard.
about
You
Anna?
don't sit.
Hey,
you don't come in here and start
Relax,
talking
pussy.
as though. No, Pan. You don't come in here and start talking and making accusations like this.
I'll
You know
prove
they're
this
not
shit.
true. You know this isn't true. Why are you lying to people? You know this bullshit isn't true. People
You're
have
the
you on
biggest-
Twitter. People
you are
have
the
you on
biggest
Twitter
liar.
talking about death threats, making death threats to me about your sister.
That's not
To
death
cover
threats,
for
you
Anna?
dumbass.
To cover for Anna?
First off, it's not death threats. Second, I have
They
never
look
said
like death
anything
threats to
about
me.
Anna.
I take them as
cry about
death
it,
threats.
pussy?
You telling me that I'm going to go into business with your deceased sister?
Yeah.
What does that mean, Pan?
You are if you keep
At what
it up.
point? When am I going into business with your deceased sister? Explain what that means to me right now. Show
that
these
hands
things.
are-
Hold on a second. Oz,
Shut
let's
up.
find this bullshit. You shut the fuck up.
Would you let me talk, you
Oz,
fat bastard?
show those tweets. Let me send these to you right now.
Relax,
And
you
you
fucking
can
fruit.
no, you can make
You gonna
you
let
can
me
make up your
explain it, you
own
pussy?
mind.
You gonna let me explain it, you fat pussy?
No, because all your explanations are bullshit, Pan.
You won't even let me
You guys
explain.
gaslight everybody while you mistreat
No.
all of these people who meant well by you.
You're
We
losing
did
your
well
mind.
by you, Pan.
Oh God, shut up. Would you let me fucking
Comicsgate
explain?
did right by War Campaign. We
Are
did
you gonna
nice to
cry?
you.
Are you gonna
I'm not
cry?
near crying, asshole.
You sound like it. Would you let me talk for a minute? Okay.
And if
So
it's really
what-
about your dead sister, why aren't you crying? Why are you coming in here so pissed off, making shit up about your sister and blaming me for it? Why aren't you crying, motherfucker? Anna's crying. You guys sit there and you make
I'm a
memes
man.
mocking her recent pain. Well, she's
Oh,
a
I
girl, motherfucker. She's a girl.
Hey, relax.
That's who you guys are. You're somebody who make fun of the pain over the deceased relative of a 25-year-old girl. And you
First
come
off,
in
I've
here
never
with
done
balls. You come in here with balls and try to blame other people and try to gaslight everyone and pretend that you're the victim. Victim campaign.
You gonna let me fucking talk?
Fuck you, Pan. Fuck you.
Oh, you gonna cry?
Pan, why aren't you crying?
Why aren't you crying over the behavior that you've displayed to very innocent people who
What
did
have I
you no
done?
wrong?
You want me to explain? Okay, so what's going on is you tied Gat Hanzo to a bunch of bullshit that didn't have anything to do with him.
No, I didn't. I tied Kabir Kumar to a bunch of bullshit that he had 100% to do with. He liked a bunch of memes that were attacking Anna's poor dead sister, and you've got the balls to come in here. You find the fucking balls to come in here and talk to me like this? You fucking redneck piece of shit. Fuck you. Fuck you, Pan. Fuck you.
Are you losing your mind? I think you're
dude, it's about time somebody actually told you what was what, man. You're a bully. You're
Really?
a rather unkind fellow. You are a bully, and your victims are 25-year-old girls who lost their sister to a tragedy.
Them? I have never.
And you're supporting them, and you're covering for the people who rub it. Yes, you are. You are covering for the people who rub that pain in. That psychic
Because I won't denounce them? Because I won't denounce me?
I think you should fucking denounce them, Pan, like I've denounced you. I think you should denounce them. How do you like that?
Tell men what to do on the internet?
I think you should tell some men. I think you should be a man and tell other men not to pick on 25-year-old women. You stupid fuck.
How do you know I haven't?
You just said that you didn't. You're like, what am I? I'm supposed to tell people? Yes, you are. If you had an ounce of decency, Pan, you would tell. Do I sound like I'm gonna cry, motherfucker? Yeah. If you had an ounce of decency, you would tell your friends that what they're doing is wrong, but you don't, and you encourage them.
Are you a 25-year-old girl?
Why don't you stand up?
Are you a 25-year-old girl?
No, Pan, I'm a 45-year-old man, and that's somebody who's old enough to recognize when other men are wrong about some shit. You are wrong. You and your boys are wrong for what they're doing. And you know what?
Listen.
This is the consequence of all of that, Pan. This is the consequence. You are cut off.
Steve Dye, the editor for Jumpstart, left the project, but still had ownership of the original files, and changes that needed to be made were not. Especially when some of the artists associated with the magazine, like Peter Gilmore, left the project in protest. Cecil would then unleash his own cash grab Vampirella cover. It was the Cecil caricature with Vampirella and another Dynamite character, Red Sonia. However, the SJW comic book pros caught wind of Cecil's Comicsgate connections and started voicing their displeasure of Dynamite bringing legitimacy to CG. Many of the comic industry's creators announced their boycott of Dynamite over the cash grab cover. However, the comic industry had a bigger problem. Warren Ellis, a liberal comic writer for many a Marvel comic, including the extremist storyline for Iron Man that became the basis for Iron Man 3, was hit with allegations of sexual impropriety. More allegations of other writers came out.
Now we had Cameron Stewart. This was a real allegation. There is proof. There is backup. This man was talking to underage girls. You fucked up, dude.
This led to some weird pledge in the comic industry of men saying no. It was a call for men in comics to protect the husbandless women in the industry from something or other. And not just women, but the quote-unquote marginalized. This insane pledge would rear its ugly head with fatal results in a few years.
We're going to talk about comic shops being looted. We're going to talk about comic shops being destroyed and another blow against comic book, independent retailers and the industry. Right. What's ultimately going to hurt, the comic book industry.
The COVID lockdowns did considerable damage financially to the comic industry, already hurt by lagging sales. Comic shops were closing in various parts of the nation, not to mention the physical damages being done in and around the shops by terrorist groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa.
Crime is up 37%, and it's not just the minorities. Even people with Down syndrome have their own gangs now. You've all seen them. They call themselves Antifa.
I put a tweet out saying I wouldn't support anything CG related, as long as it was tied to BLM, a legit SJW group. My tweet garnered some attention I didn't expect.
Okay, so he says, I will not endorse or promote anything related to Dynamite, even if it is attached to the CG label on it, as long as Antifa and Black Lives Matter terrorists are getting bailed out with comic book money, I will disassociate myself from it. Yikes, that's a huge claim. So I looked this up, and this is actually a thing. It's through Humble Bundle.
Dynamite's Humble Bundle was a promotion in which funds from book sales would go to, of all things, the Bail Project, whose CEO, Robin Steinberg, had boasted released 11,000 people from pre-trial, including Black Lives Matter terrorists, and was a way to impact the legal system. One such criminal was Samuel Lee Scott. The Bail Project paid his bail money to release him, and not long afterwards, he murdered his wife despite a restraining order against him. Dynamite was using money to help support a group that was bailing out terrorists, and some of that money included Comicsgate money. CG funds were used to help out a true SJW organization, but at least the memes were glorious. Even more damaging was the revelation that the CEO of Indiegogo, Andy Yang, whose platform was the one Comicsgaters were encouraged to use, was a loud and proud supporter of BLM. The reason for the Kickstarter boycott and the move to Indiegogo was due to Richard C. Meyer's Jawbreakers being deplatformed off of Kickstarter. According to Malin, it was due to his association with Comicsgate, but others suggested it was over Meyer's previous campaigns not being fulfilled, and therefore he'd be in violation of Kickstarter's terms of services if he opened another campaign. But hey, there's a silver lining. One of the founders of BLM was given $1.4 million to buy a home in a white neighborhood. On top of the Indiegogo revelations, it was revealed that Kamala Zhang, the comic book outreach person at Kickstarter, was fired on top of the fact that conservatives like Tim Lim and Doug TenNapel were able to crowdfund successfully on Kickstarter. Zhang's firing opened the doors for more opportunities for creators in Comicsgate to draw more backers and funds. This didn't sit well with the top guys in CG.
I'm trying to think if $5 is. Everyone saw the stream where you were talking about Clint Stoker not promoting him anymore with Malin.
That's right. Yeah. Clint Stoker's saying, "Why can't I go to Kickstarter? Why can't I?" Because we're like a motorcycle club, and right now we're saying don't go to Kickstarter.
Clint Stoker, aka Sweetcast, was pushed out of Ethan's graces after he took his book to Kickstarter. Jon Malin was adamant that he declared it a betrayal for any Comicsgater to platform on Kickstarter after what he alleged happened to him and your boy Zach for Jawbreakers. This was in spite of the fact that Richard C. Meyer went back to Kickstarter soon afterwards, and CG stalwarts like Billy Tucci had always used Kickstarter.
Well, you're Mr. No Kickstarter guy.
Yeah.
Well, the entire Comicsgate used to be anti-Kickstarter.
Used to be. It was a boycott. How does it feel? Because you were wrong.
It was a boycott. What was I wrong about?
Wait, how was he wrong?
You were wrong. Kickstarter is another place for people to see our books. There's other eyeballs.
But it was a boycott, Dan. Clearly, just like I can go get a Bud Light. It's just another place for me to go get a Bud Light.
But Dan, his boycott is...
It wasn't my boycott. It was everybody's boycott. I hate that being framed like it was John's boycott. It's everybody's boycott, and we all went along with it.
You're going to tell Billy Tucci to boycott Kickstarter?
Yeah, see, so here was my position, Dan. I said, look, man, for all of us that were there that supported the boycott at one point in time, I think it's whether we're men. Like, that's our thing. We did it. This is what we said we're going to do. Billy wasn't around.
Men don't.
Billy was
make
never
fun of
there
girls
for
like that,
boycotting Kickstarter. He came years later.
Yeah, I actually didn't even know about Indiegogo until Ethan when you.
I know for Billy it was like wait, there's another platform.
Yeah,
there's another platform I can.
Yeah, he's not going to boycott. He's not going to boycott Kickstarter. But why does it have to be exclusive? Why would it have to be exclusive?
Because we're boycotting Kickstarter because when we started out, we were being politically discriminated against. And
now we're being politically discriminated by.
We want to punish that platform
because you can't boycott everybody, Dan. You'll boycott yourself into oblivion.
You make 1 point.
Well, here's the thing about boycotts. Boycotts have time limits.
Do they?
You buy Ford cars, but you may have boycotted it at one point because you found out Henry Ford was an anti-Semite or a pro-Nazi propagandist.
Yeah,
that's why I drove an Explorer
so you might hate Ford then, But 50 years later, and the same thing with Kickstarter. I don't got a
Talk
problem
to
with
me in 50 years.
because Kickstarter has gotten rid of all those people. They fired all those people.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different regime there. And Dan has a point about Indiegogo and their backhanded shit, and nobody to contact and nobody to follow up on. So you're left in a void wondering how and why you were shadow banned. So I get what he's saying, and I understand. It is another platform. It's a different audience, and I think it's foolish for us to not explore more audiences.
Like, why are we arguing about it? Graham, go to Kickstarter. Who cares? Who cares? This ain't a group thing anymore, right? Everybody just do what you want. Just do what you want. Do what you fucking want.
Well, if I want to go to Kickstarter,
I did boycott Kickstarter, so I'm going to keep boycotting Kickstarter until I'm satisfied. How about that? There's no time limit on it for me. I'm going to boycott it to the end of my fucking days if I want to.
Ultimately, the pressure was too much for Dynamite, and they had no choice but to cancel the cash grab Vampirella Red Sonja cover. The cover, though, was salvaged with both Cyberfrog's Heather Swain and Graveyard Shift's Lilith subbing for the Dynamite Girls. And the cover would fund on Indiegogo through EVS's Comicsgate. However, the distrust among many in CG over Dynamite's presence continued. Ro Kabir and Mike S. Miller both had confirmed Dynamite had a hand in canceling anyone from CG they felt was problematic.
That whole Pride tweet, okay, and we didn't know this at the time. So you can't hold this against us, right? We didn't know. First of all, that Pride tweet, we really didn't give a fuck about that. My problem with Mike S. Miller was the fact that he wanted to cancel us. But, him trying to cancel us, that was really the root of the discontent and the other issues, right? And then there was the fact that he was using his... I pointed that out, that he was using his money to fund the previous campaign from the new campaign.
Ponzi scheming,
right,
yeah.
Right, okay. Right, we all discussed this, right, all of us. And I said it on a stream, but we had all discussed this. Anyhow, but this whole Pride tweet thing, that was EVS, right? That was Ethan Van Sciver. That was him trying to give credibility to why he shouldn't be part of Comicsgate. Yeah. Okay. Many months later, we're told this, right? Wizard Pen.
Yeah. Basically, we had a conversation with EVS, and he had told us that he had conversations with Ferrucci about, basically getting Mike Miller out of Comicsgate, and so that, because for Ferrucci and the SJWs at Dynamite, his tweets, Miller's, Pride tweets, would be problematic, So yeah. I don't know the extent of it, but EVS told us that Ferrucci did not want Mike Miller in Comicsgate. No, and no lesser words than that. I mean, straight up.
War Campaign began dropping DMs from their Caesar and the Gay Boys DM group. They revealed that Ethan edited a clip with Mike S. Miller for War Campaign to use.
Funny, I'm currently in a situation where it's like I've allowed things to happen. And it's like I understand there are chastisements or repercussions. I don't expect God to get me out of certain things. I pray that he will. But it's like me just not learning the lessons of what I need to learn.
And another DM drop showed Ethan saying his wife was annoyed with how Anna was with Ro during their exchange on the Oz live stream. And another DM drop showed EVS asking War Campaign to create fake accounts to troll John De La Rose after the latter's father was doxxed. This dox was the result of someone dropping that information in the comments section of a Sweetcast video. JDA would send Sweetcast a DM asking him to remove the dox from the comments. After Clint Stoker used the First Amendment argument on why he wouldn't remove the comment, JDA then showed Clint his own dox. Stoker would then remove JDA's father's dox from the comments section. Sweetcast said this about the incident. For the record, JDA's father's docs wasn't in my comment section. It was some reference to fancy cars or something. I felt JDA was being ridiculous just to try to control my channel. I still believe that was his angle because he does that sort of thing all the time. Tensions were high among War Campaign and creators who found themselves on both sides of the Cecil Malin War Campaign feud. While the divide among CG creators continued to grow, there began a movement in the sector of CG, later known as the Slums, which saw new shows being produced. The Trash Compactor, spearheaded by Testify HD, a war campaigner, and an ensemble of other war campaigners who would defect and be later known as the Etsy Boys, made up the Trash Compactor. It was arguably CG's first variety show, complete with skits, characters, and guest stars.
Daily Buggers standing by. We need diversity and inclusion.
Trooper 626 standing by.
Comicsgate Carl, standing by. Go fuck yourself.
This is going to be a total shit show. Stop littering, you goddamn baguettes.
There's no memes here. We're not making memes.
No, memes kill.
It's like those soap operas, right? The Young and the Restless, The Old and the Lighthouse. Remember that one, The Old and the Lighthouse? Yeah. Just like that, their presumptuous marriage dissolves. You know, dissolves. Are you crying? Is it over? Fucking did all this shit, man. Look how beautiful it is. It's very beautiful.
Even I had fun being a part of it, and my participation with the Etsy's helped with the success of my book, which went from over $400 in crowdfunding to over $4,000 in a retooled second campaign. I also learned to toughen my skin at the criticism levied at me, some of which was good. While the Trash Compactor continued to gain in popularity and influence, there were other channels that were growing. Liam Gray would abandon his Live with Liam streams, handing the reins over to Ozart's Creations.
You got no idea what you're dealing with. You fucking.
I have no idea.
Holy fuck! You shut up, dude. What is your life?
Berserk, relax. You crossed the Berserk line, Lorenzo.
No. I'm getting another bottle of wine, dude. Fuck this shit, yo. I'm gonna fuck. I hate it. I'm telling you, they're gonna drive me nuts. They're fucking.
Are you drinking wine straight out of the bottle?
Sorry. Yeah. It's going.
Oz would then cease streaming, and Finatra would take over the daytime duties.
Hey, don't be mean to Chris Stanley for sticking up for me, you fucker. In the
fuck
chat.
you little Spike Lee faggot.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you're a little cunt. You're white, dude. Why do you got a black guy on there, huh?
I'm not. This guy looks black to you?
Mm-hmm.
You fucking racist. Carry
Looks like
on,
Spike
Oz.
Lee. Looks like
I wanna
Spike
hear
Lee
your
to me, you
shit.
little fuck.
Well-read user, who was a regular in Oz Arts, began streaming his own CG book review shows. And there were many who would upload Comicsgate book reviews, but Well-Read for a time became sort of a hub for weekly reviews.
I hear yawns on the stream. That's never a good thing.
That's me. I'm falling asleep.
Okay.
Yep.
It might be because your show fucking sucks.
And yes, my book was also reviewed.
Despite all of the pieces completely being subpar, I would say, I still found myself smiling at this book and enjoying myself for some reason. And the thing that I think I kind of fell on was the fact that this comic is the equivalent of a B movie.
Look at all the baby ducks. It's got to be a prequel. There's so many baby ducks in there.
Oh, why do you got to look at those fucking feet?
No, I don't got no arms, Dusty.
All you nerds that think you know college football, you can all go fuck yourself.
All this activity between the Trash Compactor, Oz Arts, and later Finatra, and Well-Read, as well as the rise of the investigative news show, D&D Investigations, helped create a sector of Comicsgate that didn't rely on the support of Ethan Van Sciver, Jon Malin, or other top creators. But some of the more proud personalities, including Testify's Lachlan Hayden persona, did cause a divide and ultimately helped to shatter the growth of what was supposed to be a healthy CG apart from the top guys. So influential and entertaining was Testify and the Trash Compactor that EVS started noticing and even participated with Testify on streams.
I was waiting for Testify, but I don't know. I guess Testify's not coming on. You shouldn't have Testify on. Testify destroys everything he touches. He fucking completely undid War Campaign in a way that nobody else could, which is why Panboy's mad at Testify. He's doxing his name in the chat. Testify pretended to be a part of War Campaign and like took him apart from the inside, and they're still pissed about it. That's all I know about him, though.
The love-hate relationship between Testify and, well, everyone continued, and not just with Testify, but with the Etsy boys in general. Wiggle, the pink ape of the group, had one of his most famous run-ins with Liam Gray. Gray had written his book Xenotype, with artwork by Odysseus Theodoratos, aka Odie. Controversy arose when backers who received the black and white edition of Xenotype noted that the pages were printed backwards. Gray blamed Odie for the pages being out of order when Gray received the files from Odie. This was in spite of the fact that the colored version of the book had no such problems, and also in spite of the fact that Gray himself was in charge of the production. Nevertheless, Wiggle had confronted Gray about this issue.
He put them together.
Oh my god, dude. Blame Odie more.
Exactly. God. Well, no, he can do no wrong.
Oh my god.
Look at the issues with the gold edition of the book. Was there any issues with the gold edition of the book? That's the book that I put
Did
out.
Odie draw that one too? Did Odie draw the gold edition? Yes. So I guess Odie got that numbering right somehow. So are you the editor or not of the book? Are you the editor or not of the book?
I should
yes
never
or no?
On you. No, we're never serious about hearing what was going on. You just want to talk shit.
Dude, you just want to throw Odie under the bus.
I don't want to throw Odie under the bus. He was like a son to me, you piece of shit. He was my friend. You fucked him. Yes, you fucked him around. He was my best friend. We spent every day together working on that book. Every fucking day. And you guys got in his ear and told him I was
I didn't get in any of his ear. You did it.
Testify and you fuckers did. No, I did everything I could, and I showed all of the numbers and all of the math, and you told him that he would have had $1 million if he just threw me under the bus.
That wasn't us, man.
No, it was all, and you just laughed at him. Like,
wasn't me.
Funny. This is why I thought that you were serious about comics, and I thought I could have a.
I still am. I don't like bullshitters.
Bullshitting. I'm not bullshitting. I'm being.
Dude, you're bullshitting.
No, I'm being.
It's okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes.
I said that I made mistakes. I said that I made
mistakes.
Stop
blaming Odie for a fucking backwards manga and calling it Korean style. It's not fucking Korean style, dude. Stop. It's not Korean style. No, they don't. No, they fucking don't.
Thank you very much for your time, Wiggle.
Guys. The combination of Testify, Ethan Van Sciver, DA Talks, and Wikiverse would soon get into trouble legally when Preston Poulter filed a lawsuit against them for comments made about a comic book called Demonatrix and its creator, John Lamont. It was being alleged that John Lamont was producing a comic using images that depicted underage-looking girls. Said comic was being published by Preston Poulter.
On April 26, 2021, on the DA Talks YouTube channel, defendant Ethan Van Sciver repeated his accusation that Preston Poulter was a child pornographer. Defendant Ethan Van Sciver stated, "I don't want Preston to make child pornography and put Comicsgate on it." Defendants DA and Vicky endorsed, agreed, adopted, and republished Ethan Van Sciver's defamatory remarks. But again, none of that is defamatory. That's the exact comic they were going for.
I mean, there's a reasonable suggestion that looks like a child in the face.
Speaking of lawsuits, Richard C. Meyer dropped his lawsuit against Mark Waid with no conclusion. The two departed with a non-disclosure agreement, and neither to this day have spoken about the suit. To many within Comicsgate, Mark Waid had won. He successfully got Meyer deplatformed and got away with no penalties for doing so. There were many, though, who believed that had Waid not gotten Meyer canceled from Antarctic Press, Meyer would have never made as much money as he did crowdfunding on Indiegogo and later Kickstarter. Nevertheless, the decision to drop the lawsuit left a bad taste in many among CG who donated money to Meyer's legal fund.
You're a nigger faggot, man, but wearing faggot.
Who are you?
Hey, fuck you, Phil.
Testify will be an active participant in CG until his untimely passing in February of 2022. That Umbrella Guy and Yellow Flash, the latter who admitted to be a fan of him and the Trash Compactor, expressed regret over his passing. Testify's death left a gaping hole in the slums portion of CG. A few months later, my wife had passed away after battling stage 4 cancer for 14 months. I took a short break from Comicsgate to focus on my grief. This meant a comic I was producing, Clock People, based on a skit I participated in on the trash compactor, would be on hold indefinitely. But after about a month, I came back and started working on my second book, Beast Citizen Road Warrior Drake. As much as I was inspired to be working on a second book, improving my art and storytelling, I was also about to face a stark reality. There were degenerates among CG.
I do the best job I can to promote my product, and my product can be called controversial, and it comes from one quarter. Entirely. I don't hear about it from other places. I don't hear about it from other groups. And I'm not trying to call out the war campaign. I'm not closing my wallets to you, to any of the people I've backed, because I'm a man of my word. And when I put my money down, that's what I do. But sometimes it makes me feel like maybe I don't want to do that again. And I like the idea of Rainbow Brute. In fact, I was I was on the stream when they came up with it, and I was like, "That's a great idea," and I'm going to put my money down on that because I like it. I think you're a good man. I think you're a family man. But what these people are doing for their fun, for their LARPing, is not something I could condone, and that's why I haven't ever fully endorsed Comicsgate because of that very reason. And I'm taking a chance right now that they'll come after me and they'll, badmouth me, call me a pedo maybe, or whatever, because I have a young character. Yeah, that's dangerous in my opinion. I'm going to shut up for a minute, but I've said my piece. I want to know I love you as a brother. We've never met, but we're both from similar backgrounds. And that has nothing to do other than I think you're, striving to be the best you can be. And you're showing us a way. We're following you. But sometimes I think you might make missteps, just like I do. All right. I've said my piece.
That's beautiful, Slick Jimmy. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everybody in this community
And you are
loves
my
you,
brother,
Ethan.
Slick Jimmy. You are. You've been on my stream. You know I like your work. You know I think you're great.
One such was Slick Jimmy, the writer of Little Girl Lethal. It was revealed that he was arrested for possession of child porn. Later, another artist, Vic King, whose real name was Robert Kincaid, was outed thanks to the investigative work of DA Talks. Kincaid was a level 2 child rapist whose victims were friends of his son. This sent shockwaves and ultimately broke the slums. Ethan Van Sciver was a vendor for the Garden State Comic Con in June of 2023. I had made plans to attend just because, fuck it, I said. An hour and 40-minute drive and I was there. I wasn't going to make a big deal about seeing him. Rather, just buy Cyber from Wrecked Planet and leave. Wrecked Planet had made over $1.2 million on Indiegogo, which for all intents and purposes beat Doug Knable's Earthworm Jim in crowdfund sales as the highest grossing CG book. But then something happened that I didn't count on. Before I even approached the table, I heard Ethan's voice say, "Hey, Lazmat." Yes, I had forgotten. Ethan himself was a subscriber to my channel, and he was a watcher of my videos, including those refuting the stuff said by the Comic Book Hut.
Say hi.
All right, hold on. Ready? These guys here.
You're getting love in the chatty. Yeah, I know.
So he is your father. I knew it.
What's up?
What's up?
How you doing? Say what's up. We're live.
Nice to meet you. Oh, what's going on? This is a live. Wait, we're live?
We're live.
Okay, I don't care if we're live. If I see any of these people with the D word and all that shit, it's gonna go down. We're in Jersey now, so this gets real here.
It gets real in Jersey.
Yeah.
This Ethan was different from his YouTube persona. This was a man who was personable, friendly, and inviting. I bought a copy of Wrecked Planet and I gave him a copy of Street Champion Road Warrior Drake. After the con, we all went out to eat at Ruth Chris Steakhouse.
Go.
And afterwards, I smoked my first cigar at the after party.
It's rare.
Death to Disney is like it won. Oh, Lazamat, life to Lazamat. Hail to Lazamat. It is good, right? Nice Cuban cigar. You are made man. Hail to Lazamat. Hail to Road Warrior Drake.
When I saw Ethan and company chant, "Hail Comicsgate! Hail Comicsgate!" I saw what should have been. The vision for what CG should have been. Meetups, hangouts, expansion and growth in other venues. Van Sciver, Dan Fraga, Billy Tucci, Cecil, Graham Nolan, those who were there, having a drink and smoking with myself. Dark Gift Comics, the higher CG guys drinking and partying with the newly christened CG Slums. It was the evolution Comicsgate needed.
Lazamat, Road Warrior Drake. This looks like such a fun book. We went to dinner with him. He was there at the head of the table. He arrived a little late because he didn't know he was invited. We just wanted to invite all the Comicsgate YouTubers and people who were around us. And thank you. He signed it to me too. Ethan, Hail CG Lazamat. Thank you very much, my friend. Very cool. I'm actually going to read this because frankly, it's my kind of thing. So I'll let you know what I think when it's done. It looks like a cool Disney character. Road Warrior Drake. I have the book. I read some of it. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I like Azamat. I like him.
Yeah, I like him as a person. I wasn't sure about his comics, but his comics are really good. They're fun to read.
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
Yeah. Jabba wants me to tell you to draw me as a peanut head.
Okay, I will. A peanut head.
Yeah.
In what way? What's a peanut head?
My head's shaped like a peanut. But I'm telling him no, but Jabba's insisting that I have a peanut head. So
you do kind of have a peanut head.
Oh, wait.
Meetups and cons seem to be the way to go. An obvious next step for CG's evolution and growth. But two things happened that would torpedo the movement as a grassroots movement for good. One was a Tampa Bay con, and two was Eric July. Ethan Van Sciver had posted on the Kiwi forums of his collaboration with Eric July for his startup Ripperverse comic book brand, while also disavowing July's nemesis, Vito Gesualdi, a man who streamed with Dick Masterson, aka Dax Herrera, host of The Biggest Problem in the Universe. Also a man who wore a cow suit and called himself Juju the Cow while getting pegged in said cow suit. Vito also had a rep for being a pedophile, and although there is no evidence that he is one, comments he's made over a 20-year span haven't helped his cause, including a tweet when referencing non-offending pedos and using the pronouns we when doing so. ISOM number 1 went on to make over $3 million. EVS publicly made requests to do covers for his books. ISOM 2 went on to make an additional $2 million, adding to the Rippaverse empire.
We're gonna win. You guys are all part of this thing I'm building. This is our company.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, where with me, I'm like, this is my comic. I made it. Like, I love you guys.
In the beginning, Herrera claimed he didn't read ISOM while giving negative critiques of it.
What is this world where we have to see something to know if it's shit or not? A guy who's never made a comic book before, and no one who's read it can tell you what's good about it. There's no memes
I'll
from
read it tomorrow and I'll let you know, Dick.
Hello?
Masterson would be invited to Yellow Flash's stream one fateful night after having read ISOM and confronted Eric July with his criticisms. This would also be the night EVS began to swirl towards Masterson's direction.
Eric, what are you doing, man? Why are you this sensitive to simple criticism? Like, even coming from Ethan, who's like an industry veteran, dude. It comes off as so childish and insecure. You know that, right?
I disagree. I think you're dramatizing what's happening, but I'm cool with that.
Well, read chat, buddy. Read chat, because they know. Chat always knows. You're
cool.
coming up for a guy who made $3.7 million fucking dollars that you can't take like basic story structure critiques that I didn't even invent.
I'm okay with basic story structure critique.
Okay, what's your plot?
As far as what?
Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Why on earth would I explain all of that? What do you mean, like going into the future for ISOM 1, 2, and 3?
No, I'm talking about book 1. What's the plot? Like, what's the character's
what part did you
motivation
not
for being there?
understand? What part are you confused on?
July didn't do himself any favors during this exchange. It definitely appeared he was sensitive to the critique of ISOM. Eric had run afoul of Riley Mix, a producer for The Biggest Problem of the Universe, after Riley was removed from Teespring over a trademark violation regarding the Ripperverse icon. Riley would trespass on private grounds to Eric July's warehouse and tape some money on the door, in response to an unread super chat from Riley to Eric. This will get revisited later on.
You don't think that anybody, you say you don't like that when people try to fuck with other people's business.
No, I don't.
Okay, so is your claim that your partner or your friend, as you put it, so you don't think he's tried to fuck with someone else's business?
It depends on what exactly you mean by that.
No,
but
I want to know what you think, because I mean, you're...
Eric is building a harassment case right here. And I think that's where it's a difficult case to build, especially when you're arguing against a lawyer.
Ethan began his shift from his positive reviews of ISOM to very negative.
My dad came over and he read ISOM number 1. I was reminded last night. And he went on this live stream and he said, dude, it's trash. And I said, Dad, listen. No, it's good. This is good. This is important that, this succeed. He said, but it's garbage. Dad, shh. And I was very sincere. And I was kind of shocked because I had read ISOM number 1, but I didn't read it very carefully. And I just went, it's okay for a first-time thing. It's fine. I move on. Good for you. But then a lot of criticism was levied at the story in the book. And I thought, well, this is good criticism. This is great. By acknowledging that it was good criticism, I painted a target on myself. And I also had my eyes open as to what was going on.
EVS also began a transition from his usual plethora of topics on his live streams to constantly talking about Eric July. And he did it for the money.
People say, why do you do this? Why do you talk about this stuff? You must be obsessed with Eric. No, I do it because you guys want me to do it and you give me money to do it. That's all it is. This is a business. Trashcast is a business paid for and subsidized by you guys, the fans.
Yellow Flash, an OG Comicsgater, took issue with EVS's public disparaging comments about Nerdrotic and the Friday Night Tights crew. He also made the mistake of revealing Ethan's rates for his cover for Yellow Flash's upcoming Golden Patriot comic that he was working on with artist John Dillard. EVS would weaponize the deal made between Flash and Dillard, and many of EVS's fans would use that as a means to invalidate Flash. This, along with Yellow Flash closing the Twitter Comicsgate community room, created an intense pushback by EVS fans against Flash, and Flash ultimately had to make a public statement disavowing Ethan for good.
I am no longer going to affiliate myself with Ethan Van Sciver. The reason that I blocked him is because when you part ways with him, you're not allowed to just walk away, okay? You have to be damaged if you leave him and his brand Comicsgate. All he does is shit on everybody. Everybody. So I'm done with him.
Then there was an alleged night letter from Eric July to Ethan, an exchange EVS made public to his audience.
You sent me a text that said, you're playing the middle of the road is really corny. And if you continue to play the middle of the road, I'm going to respond accordingly.
EVS, through his all-caps account and speaking in second person to avoid being accused of suspension evasion from Twitter, made the text message public, and it wasn't exactly what he made it out to be. July actually said, you going out of your way to play the middle of the road publicly with a dude that has gone out of his way to work overtime to publicly defame is whack. It's even weaker that you lend credence to their narrative. What July said regarding siding with his enemies is exactly what Ethan claimed he took issue with from those who sided with Rob Cacy over Jon Malin years ago, as well as what artist Kelsey Shannon did when siding with Patrick Thomas Parnell, PTP, EVS's nemesis.
All I did was just publicly denigrate you and humiliate you in front of people who hate you. I just agreed with your critics that were, really just hate you and stuff. So, like, and it's like John had been retweeting this guy, supporting this guy, all this stuff. It doesn't pay. It really just kind of doesn't pay. I wrote Kelsey an email like, Kelsey, I love you. I need you around, man. I need to work with you. I need to laugh with you. I need to joke with you. And this dude said, I don't like the things you're doing with Patrick Thomas Parnell. I don't like the moves you're making against Eric July. Like, any of this shit is my fault. And disappeared. And then he came back a week later and he was just like, maybe I'll come on your stream. No, you made your choice, dude. You made your choice. You ally yourself with people who choose to be my enemies.
Explain this to me. I've looked into it. I can't figure this out for me, and I'm just going to give you my honest take after reading up on it. Why am I not supposed to like Eric July?
There seemed to be a sudden shift between the months of January to March of 2024, where many comic skaters who praised ISOM and the Ripperverse did an about-face and now claimed ISOM was one of the worst comic books ever made. The sudden shift during the same time period gave rise to the perception that many in Comicsgate did as EVS did, thought as EVS thought. Comicsgate became a movement against Eric July and the Ripperverse, causing a rift among creators and fans alike. To help his war against July, EVS brought into CG some of July's harshest critics.
Katie did the channel says the clips of Anna was after her honeymoon. Hell, CG. I'll bet. And Katie, thank you so much. Katie is becoming the most important woman to this scene.
One of those critics was Katie Did, a woman who had followed Nick Rekieta and Dick Masterson. Some deep divers, however, uncovered her not-too-distant internet past. She was part of the Censoring community, a community of middle-aged women who wrote sexual fan fiction of an underage Ren and a 1,000-year-old demon dog Susumaru from the manga Inuyasha. Katie Did would even retweet images of what appeared to be an underage girl being mounted by a gigantic dog. There was even video of Katie describing a situation where one writer from this community was being ostracized for not wanting to ship an underage Rin.
But I kept getting messages from people saying, don't do this fic, you're going to piss off the community if you review this fic and this writer. We had issues with this writer. And then when I found out from Candy Girl what this writer was dealing with, it was not that big of a deal. It was just a personal opinion she had. She loves to show her Ren's relationship. She just always believes you write the story when she's 18 and older.
Despite the findings, there are still some in CG who purposefully overlooked the questionable content.
Chris Bacon is doing incredible work.
Chris Bacon was another July critic who entered CG, a man who grew to notoriety when his online reviews of Russian hookers were discovered during his Twitter battle with Ripper fans. He responded by having their info doxed and, according to him, having their doxed info dumped onto the dark web.
Low watermark, I literally had to go to a place I never thought I'd have to go to get these people to stop. The links that I had to go to get these people to leave me alone was something I hope no one ever has to do. I literally had to put these people in a situation of financial ruin. I had a buddy of mine from college. I reached out to him who knows me and my wife, talked to him about the situation. I said, can you help me out? He doxed every single one of these motherfuckers.
Wow.
I know everything about all of these people. Super pedo killer, this Zay guy. I know about all of them. I've seen
the ones that were threatening you on social media.
Yeah.
Right.
I know everything about them. I know their financial information, where they bank, what they have, where they live, everything. My buddy saw that and I said, don't do it. I said, don't fucking do it. He dumped every bit of their fucking information on the dark web. Every bit of it. Those guys are, somebody who wants to buy their information away from being completely fucked.
Matt, Sheila, Hex, Prime on.
Riley had also been embraced by Ethan, and Riley set his sights on the slums of CG.
Ollie, Wiggle, Finatra, Well-Read, Elazamat, Dillard!
I can't say I wasn't flattered. He at least pronounced my name correctly. Riley tried to crash a private event for Ripper fans by Eric July, an event that was visited by Nerdrotic and his wife. There was an attempt to memory hold this incident.
I just told her who I am. I say them because she's so large, I thought there were two people there, but that's not the Saska sisters. That's Gary's pig wife.
But this was Riley, yelling some pretty harsh words at Nerdrotic's wife in the name of Comicsgate and Ethan Van Sciver.
Dick makes fun of fat women every week, and there's only a certain amount of cognitive dissonance you can deal with. And he's had enough pretending that Star Wars isn't making money, so he can't also pretend that his wife isn't fat.
This woman looks like Ursula. It's his bird. Hi, bird.
Amazing.
She does look.
Hail Comicsgate chat! We are here to represent Comicsgate at a meetup that by all rights deserved a Comicsgate audience. That deserved Ethan Van Sciver is more talented than any of the hack frauds throwing this garbage gathering. And he deserved to be here more than any of them. He deserved to be at C2E2, but because of garbage companies like the Rippaverse and pathetic, integrity-less loser YouTubers like this pig's husband.
Riley would be arrested at this event. It turned out when he was trespassing at the warehouse months prior, a warrant had been issued. A few months later, the case against him would be dismissed. Comicsgate also took Eric to task for using 3D assets in his comics.
This is a fucking 3D figure that is standing, rotated to lay down on a 3D fucking couch.
My 3D assets. Eric July's selling a t-shirt right now celebrating this. My 3D assets.
The arts, man. You're talking to a guy who goes on shit like Manga Kakalot and all these other fucking manga sites, and they read manhwa. Do you know how many manhwa and manga artists use fucking assets to build up cities or fucking streets or characters when they're doing a story that's fucking 800 pages?
Yeah.
So, that doesn't... I don't give a shit about that. I've heard that as a criticism. Like, oh, he used assets. Well, video game developers use fucking assets too. What, you give a shit?
Yeah.
Comicsgate's own issues with the 3D assets became undermined when they promoted Ride and Die, Camelot's first comic, a comic riddled with 3D assets.
Yes, back this book. It looks good. Like the art looks good.
Back the book. Don't forget to check out Ride and Die, which is brand new for Black Friday. It's Camelot's way of saying thanks.
When CG's contradictory stance was exposed, the argument shifted from Eric July using 3D assets to him not being honest about using them. But the tweets were clear. CG's issues was the use of the 3D assets. Ethan's rift with July grew more personal by the day. Riley had boasted about going to Eric July's great-grandfather's grave, Isom, and urinating on it. Another fan had beaten Riley to the punch and visited the grave. Many in CG confused the two incidents and claimed no one had urinated on Isom's grave. But Riley had tweeted about it, showed pictures of the grave. Some in CG, inserting their intense hatred of Eric, had hoped their urinating on the grave was true. Ethan took advantage, and in a moment that was reminiscent of War Campaign's Ro Kabir asking for the ashes of Ellen, who was the dead sister of Anna Mello, that Star Wars girl, EVS requested a meme of the fictional robotic dog from July's comic Gooding urinating on Isom's grave.
Could someone please take this bit of animation here and then pull the background out and then put Isom's grave there? You know what you could do is you could put Riley's head on Gooding here. Like you could paste over Riley's head and maybe put Eric's face over the little girl. By the way, peeing on Isom's grave. Thank you for whoever made this. Thank you. You guys are amazing. Geniuses. I mean, if If the trailer for Good Jig was this, I would have liked it a lot more.
It was clear now that CG had no problem using dead family members as tools for memes and mockery, things they had at one time attributed to war campaign.
Clearly, one fan went too far, wanted to make themselves a part of the feud or a part of the drama or whatever else, and decided they could go out and pretend that they worked for the podcast.
Some of the more infamous gay ops against Eric was the ISOM trademark case. An alleged fan of the biggest problem of the universe disguised himself as a producer of the show and informed the ministry known as International School of Ministry, or acronymed ISOM, that Eric was infringing on their trademark. The ministry would make public statements about it before announcing they were going to sue the Rippaverse for what they perceived to be trademark infringement. Dick Masterson would tag the ministry in an attempt to cancel Eric July in a series of tweets throughout the year. We know this is cancel culture because such a tactic of tagging a company that could do damage to you was deemed a cancel culture tactic by comic skaters like Literature Devil. Ultimately, the lawsuit was settled, and while the specifics of the settlement was not made public, it was clear that both parties acknowledged each brand was different.
Good Shepherd Ministries was founded in the 1990s by Reverend Dr. Berwin Gilfillan, and he continues as its leader to this day. Good Shepherd has an international school of ministry and registered its trademark ISOM many years ago for its various activities and efforts in its ministries. The Rippaverse has a character by the name of Avery Sealman. His heroic name is ISOM, and it is not an acronym. ISOM is named after a real person whose name was Isom Knox and is my great-great-great-grandfather.
He got sued by that ministry that he called fake Christians because their name is the ISOM ministry, and he's got like a Christian superhero named Isom. So they sued him. He settled after blaming me and Vito. And his settlement, we're theorizing, means that he can't say ISOM anymore. And sure enough, every time ISOM gets pitched now, it's like Young ISOM or the ISOM story or the Black Chronicles of ISOM or whatever. It's always got some kind of different title. So he probably can't use it anymore, which is fucking hilarious. And we did cause it.
As much as many of Masterson's fans and in Comicsgate tried to push the idea that July couldn't use the ISOM name because he allegedly lost a suit, ISOM 3 would soon be announced, proving that the ISOM name would continue, and as per July's legal statements, the name would not change.
Make your comic look like a comic only you can make.
There it is, man. And I think that, we built a pretty dope platform here. We got a lot of eyeballs, and we're going to be able to continue this kind of conversation.
While this was going on, a woman by the name of Molly Dwyer publicly came out and accused cartoonist kayfabe host Ed Piscore of inappropriate communication. It should be stated by me that I do not under any circumstance condone a man over the age of 25 communicating with a girl under the age of 20. The reasons I stand by this are tenfold, and Piscore's tragic example illustrates my point. As per Molly Dwyer's own words, she was 17 turned 18 at the time Piskor started talking to her. The screenshot she released showed only a portion of the conversation. What you're going to notice is, first of all, what did she say before Piskor's comment here? Notice that she didn't show that. Why didn't she show that? Interesting. What was she saying or showing to Ed that made him comment like that? But then when he says, I feel like you're a good partner in crime, you're not a snitch, are you? If we rap some bangs, you wouldn't rap me out, would you? Notice she hearted that comment. She hearted that comment.
This is all over Reddit right now. Ed Piscore grooms underage girls.
The dogpile in Piskor grew from many in the comic industry, the very industry he loved and promoted. But unfortunately, the comic industry wasn't the only one who judged him prematurely. Many within Comicsgate joined the witch hunt on Piskor, encouraging a brigade of his social media while pushing the allegations of him being a child predator, something Dwyer herself said he wasn't. I am 21 now. I am fine. I was never harmed. He never sent me any dick pics. Never made me take nudes either. Nothing like that. Because Ed Piscore is not a pedophile. Ed Piscore is just a fucking creep. Matters were made worse when Molly Wright, another woman, came out and alleged inappropriate sexual conduct by Piskor. He says that Molly Wright is a conundrum, and her actions border criminal. He said she said never looks good, but none of what she said happened, and I can't believe she'd be so malicious and pile on like this. Piskor lost out in business deals, and a Pittsburgh gallery that was set to feature his artwork was canceled in light of the allegations.
He was scheduled for a show right here downtown until the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust postponed that show after accusations of sexual misconduct.
News reporter Marcy Cipriani went to Piskor's father's house to ask about the allegations while doxing his address. She had not gone to visit Dwyer or Wright's residences for questions.
He did apologize, unlike what that Liam McGuire says, but there was no path back. Nothing. No matter what he did, they were always going to bring the same allegations and accusations up, even if he followed all of their rules, because Warren Ellis tried. Do you remember when he was accused of engaging in hypnotism as well as juggling multiple targets and abrupt termination of relationship without communication? Like, which one is it? Did you have too much of him or not enough? This is from the So Many of Us, in which like 60, apparently he got around during his heyday, 60 bitter ex-groupies decided to band together to, I don't know what, like they have this update. They gave updates for 3 years. And plot twist, it wasn't enough. He attempted to appease these psychopaths for 3 years, and ultimately it wasn't enough. He didn't do the work. Ed Piscore is well aware of this. There is no ability to appease. There is no atonement. There is no forgiveness. They're going to bleed you until you die and then mock you at your funeral, also before and after.
These allegations would be addressed by Piscore on April 1st, 2024, in a letter he posted on his Facebook. He stated nothing happened between him and Dwyer, but he also expressed regret over ever talking to her. He addressed Molly Wright's allegations as a mutual sexual experience between the two of them. He named Alex DeCampi, Evan Dorkin, and Ramon Villalobos among those in the comic industry who joined the mob against him. That Facebook post by Piscore turned out to be his suicide letter, and later that day, Piscore's body was found by his family. Molly Dwyer and Molly Wright had done to Piscore what Zoe Quinn did to game developer Alec Halalka. They levied unproven allegations that led to the suicide of their respective victims.
I've been predicting a suicide for years. Somebody showed me a blog post from Brian Wood in 2015. He predicted the same thing. And the next suicide will probably be a murder-suicide, the way they drive these people to utter hopelessness. He said that the day after the initial allegation, he was writing his will. So suicide was on his mind. But he didn't actually commit a suicide for several days later. My contention, my theory, is that a specific and malicious, targeted group of actions by these two individuals was the deciding factor whether to kill himself or not. Effectively, it pushed him over the edge. To this, they launched, in a very short amount of time, 5 additional false allegations to further drive him towards the edge. So Ramon Villalobos did 2 allegations. One to or about Ed. Another one about Ed, but directed to Jim. And that one, I think, was the most damning. Number 1 is that Ramon said that Ed was a pedophile. Molly said the exact opposite. Ramon started directing messages toward Jim Rugg, Ed's creative partner. And he said, hey, I know you're a good guy, but you haven't made a statement.
So that looks like you are complicit in what Ed did. So Ramon is saying that Ed is a pedophile. And then he is directing messages, really threats, that, hey, you're next. Alex was, and she was named as one of his murderers in the suicide note. She started like getting bothered that some people like didn't want to execute him and wanted to like ask more questions and get context. And then so she went in this like whole like racial direction where she was like, instead of talking about this guy, why don't you concentrate on hiring African Americans? Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? And then she identified falsely an account and said, this is Ed Piscore's alt. So then she started saying, oh, this alt is saying things that are racist, is saying things that are sexist, is engaging in queer bashing. So there's 3 more allegations.
Molly Dwyer and Molly Wright scrubbed their social medias and deleted all their evidence in the wake of Piscore's death. Photos of Dwyer had leaked from her Instagram page, photos that depicted her as what some would allege to be a thirst trap.
Man, I don't like Ed Piscore. Ed Piscore tried to cancel me. I didn't care.
dead.
Ed Piscore,
Guy's
you know, all
fucking
these guys,
dead.
here's the whole thing. Like, you know, a bunch of SJWs kind of get exposed. Guys who are heavily involved in cancel culture get exposed for like purient interest in underage girls. And I'm there for it. I'm there to just laugh every single time. And if you're not, I don't know what the problem is. I thought you guys didn't like pedos.
Ramon said that Ed was a pedophile. Molly said the exact opposite.
Many of those listed in Ed's notes were already hated by the hashtag Comicsgate crowd. This, alongside the supposed Whisper network, made it an easy narrative to spin. The very same people who review bombed his books and called him a groomer began claiming he was murdered. That included attacking Jim, despite Ed listing him as one of the good people that tried to help.
As the months passed, the role Summon Comicsgate played in the Piskor situation started to become more exposed. While Piskor did not name CG in his suicide note, many of Piskor's fans archived and took screenshots of tweets by those in CG, and articles written in John De La Rosa's Fandom Pulse on the Piskor allegations were wiped out. While EVS waged a war against Eric July and the Ripperverse, Jon Malin was on his way to accelerate a war against his own Comicsgate peers. It all started after Malin, Shane Davis, and EVS were denied a table at C2E2. Malin's reason for their being denied was due to their conservative views and their CG association. However, Shane Davis revealed the real reason for their cancellation.
We ended up with a phone call that was sort of spicy. We were being yelled at that we broke terms of service we were accused of subleasing the booth, which we bought the booth.
It is true that many cons, including C2E2, have rules against subleasing. Also, the appearance of Star Wars artist Dave Dorman, himself a conservative, proved that conservative views are not cancelable offenses at C2E2. This, however, did not stop Malin from making a spectacle when he arrived at the con unannounced.
You guys know why you're escorting me out? Right. But I didn't violate any code of conduct. I'm a conservative. Yeah, so my conservative beliefs is why I violated.
Malin's claim that he was a conservative contradicts his earlier proclamations of Comicsgate not being a Christian conservative movement.
If it was a Christian conservative movement, I shouldn't be here. Like, for reals. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'd just be kind of the odd duck.
Malin was also a past Obama voter and a confessed moderate, not a conservative. And he also had no shame tying his C2E2 situation to Ed Piscore's suicide. Excitement brewed when it was announced that legendary Hulk artist and creator of Pit, Dale Keown, was joining Comicsgate. His early days was not what one would consider dignified, as he fawned over married CGer Mandy Summers.
I'm going to show my dick.
This drunk stream saw Dale passed out for what seemed like a few hours before he killed the stream. But Dale upped the excitement when he announced he was bringing Pitt into CG with a collection of his old stories as well as new written material, and the writer was kept a secret initially, but some behind the scene knew, including Mandy Summers herself. And Phil Diaz himself would confirm that he was picked by Dale to write the new Pitt stories.
Dude, that necromancer character that was like being prophesied throughout the whole series.
All that stuff's coming back in the new series.
Yes.
I mean, I'm working with Phil Diaz. We're working on a Pitt story.
No shit.
And he's reading all the issues. He's pulling. Yeah, he's getting kind of meta, you know.
Oh damn. Oh shit.
So extensive was the work that Diaz was doing for the Pitt Omnibus that, according to artist Joe Ball, he was hunting down old Pitt art for the Omnibus, a task that took him days to months, all for no pay. But an unexpected twist happened 2 years later.
Dale announced that I was going to write Pitt for him. And then a year ago, everybody remembers the whole debacle where Mandy vanished off the internet. Dale messaged me, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. This is what happened. And he's like, yeah, War Campaign needs to stop coming after her. It was probably April, about a week after Mandy's disappearance. I get a random message from Dale in the 4 o'clock in the morning. You, Phil, I know you and War Campaign hacked Mandy's computer and exposed her pictures and put them on the internet. And I'm like, what? And he's like, we're done. F you. 2 weeks later, Dale messaged me, apologizing. He said, dude, I'm so sorry. Mandy lied to me. Mandy told me that you exposed her pictures and put them on the internet, made me choose between you and her. And I can't believe it. You know, she's really nasty. She's mean to me. She basically wanted me to fire you. And that's what happened.
Dale announced that he, and he alone, was writing the Omnibus. He also announced that the project was on hold. The Pitt Omnibus was DOA. Diaz told about a private conversation between himself, PTP, and Ethan Van Sciver.
So, man, it feels like it was 2 years ago.
A portion of that recording aired, which revealed that Mandy was allegedly engaging in sexual manipulation of Rainbow the Brute colorist Kyle Ritter, as well as Dale Keown. This was all revealed by Ethan Van Sciver himself.
She would masturbate for Kyle. She would like do 2-finger inserts in both holes for Kyle. Yeah, and make Kyle think that they were in love. And Kyle would be, Kyle would say things like, "I'm gonna get you on Ethan's show," and she'd say Ethan or Malin's, right? Like that's the thing. Like, yeah, baby. No, I didn't know any of this was going on until it was already over, and Kyle didn't want to stop it. So, you know, Mandy kind of said, help me, Kyle. Does this sound familiar? Help me. Kyle's obsessed. Please just tell him to stop it. Because Kyle didn't want to stop. They were jerking off together on camera. Kyle's sad and lonely, and so was Dale. That's what's going on with Dale and Mandy. And Mandy is most likely, I mean, here's the thing. Like, Kyle was one step from me. Dale is just Dale. You know, I mean, like, why would, you know, you don't have to try to convince Kyle to bring her to me. She's got Dale. So that's what she's doing. She's sticking fingers in her asshole and her pussy on camera for Dale Keown. Most likely. Yeah. Most likely. I don't know that for sure, but most likely that's what's happening. Dale is giving her orders for what he wants to see, and she's doing it and then making demands of him like, you know, I want this and that. People are in her way. Maybe she wants to write Pitt. Maybe. I didn't know that.
Mandy tried to get me canceled off this project, and it's kind of messed up.
Why does it not bother you that while she's married and just had a child and just got out of jail for meth, why does it not bother you that she took advantage of a deaf male and a depressed?
Dude, it's gross. Yeah, it's gross behavior.
Why doesn't that bother you? Like any male.
I didn't make those decisions. Somebody else did.
Mandy said she sent him 4 videos that were her doing sign language, like saying sweet things to him in sign language. She says she doesn't have them anymore, but I did ask for them because I was going to do a big reveal. She said that she doesn't have them.
The 4 videos even claimed were of Mandy doing sign language to Kyle Ritter were revealed on the D&B investigation show. Not the kind of videos you'd send someone as a sign of friendship.
This is what she does. This is how she operates. I hate that she's still doing it. But whores are whores, and that's just the way it is. I can't control her. I can't stop her from doing this.
It does confirm the release of the February 29th, 2020 DM Ethan sent to War campaign, where he said there were simps in CG selling access to Comicsgate for nudes. Screenshots popped up of what appeared to be a Facebook Messenger chat from Dale Keown's page, in which he stated that Mandy was refusing to pay him and that she was threatening to get him for sexual harassment, just like with Kyle.
The issue is that particular person that we are referring to has very PG-13 videos of me, whereas I have R-rated hardcore videos of him, and he is fucking terrified that I'm going to release him.
Because she's not going to be fucked around with anymore either.
So, this is the message that she sent to Dale threatening him. It's a message she typed to Dale's mom. And what we can see of her saying, it says, "Son is having some serious problems. If you could speak with him about how he talks to females and his coworkers, I would greatly appreciate it." And then there's a attachment that they've attached of Dale.
It's really small.
Of a conversation with Dale, I'm assuming.
Jon Malin increased his targeting of Diaz by pushing claims that he and some friends were gossiping about Malin's marriage.
Were you talking shit about my wife at a convention? And he said, "No, John. If what Phil is saying is true, my friends and associates would have to be lying to me." And I said, "So are you saying that Sean is lying? Is that what you're saying, that Sean is lying?" And he said, "No, John." And that told me right there that what Sean said is true, that Phil Diaz, in my opinion, has been going around definitely to these convention centers, to these conventions, and talking smack about me and my lovely wife, Faye. P. Callen's throbbing Pulse for 5. Slums War campaign has been linking what looks like divorce proceedings from Michigan with your name on it. If you aren't aware, well, now you are. Well, now everybody is, because you just super chatted it, Pete.
Malin's anger towards perceived gossip of his marriage was undermined by his own participation in the public slandering of Eric July, a married man, possibly cheating on his wife with his writers, the Soska sisters.
Oh, man.
That is lifelike.
Who's got it bad for who, though? Is she in love with him, or like what is
there would be a game being played here, because he is a married man. They have to walk the lines. So they're both playing. They both know the game's being played.
To develop a friendship, and he's a guy that we text at 4 a.m, and I ask
he's a guy that we text at 4 a.m. is really another thing. So we're piling up some evidence here.
I think one texts at 4 a.m. is one laughing, but the other one says "we" as cover.
being like, oh, listen to them. They're so excited about them. They're stupid. Our fans are the people that we're making this for.
I've never gotten to write something like this before, where instead of being censored, my boss says go harder.
I bet he did. I bet he did say go harder.
Fuck, dude.
Oh my god.
What actually happened was Sean was in town. And myself, my brother, my buddy Matt Fowler, a friend from the chat, Admiral Wackass, we took Sean out to lunch. About like a 2-hour lunch. We had a great time. During that lunch, Sean said his friend was going through a divorce. And at the time, our buddy Matt also was going through a divorce. And Matt goes, oh man, CG is ruining everybody's relationships. I'm going through a divorce too. Cecil did. JDA did. Did you hear John might be too? And Sean's like, oh no, what's that about? He's like, oh, someone found this document online and people think it's about that. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. That's where the conversation ended.
Oh my gosh. Jon Malin is whining like I've never seen anybody whine before over some like stupid awards where like 30, 40 people actually watch it because he didn't get nominated. This is a serial complainer, serial whiner.
While it seemed very odd for this to be happening almost at once, it was quite possible when you tie it to the results of his Godlike 2 campaign. The first Godlike made $100,000 in 24 hours and went on to make over $258,000 in crowdfunding. The second book made only a little over $145,000. Many cited Malin's poor behavior with fellow creators and customers, as well as his poor reception to the criticism he received of the first book. He took some digs at Ethan CG King Circle for not supporting him for his Godlike 2 closeout.
Guys, when we do these closeouts, and there's like, I don't know, 10 kings or something like that, every time one of these kings is having a launch or opening, every last one of these guys should be showing up for it. Every last one of them. But they don't care. I care too much. That's my problem. I care too much because I think people should show up for all these launches and all these closeouts. And then we end up having like 2 people launching and closing out. Fucking Christ.
His irrational behavior became extremely noticeable when a CG fan and host of a YouTube channel named Danger Vanessa held the I Don't Give a Fuck Awards and allowed the chat to name nominees for selective categories. Godlike was not nominated for Book of the Year.
Shane Davis. Okay. Ethan. Yeah, sure. Irene. Did Irene ever even put a book out this year? I can't even get Book of the Year, but fucking Irene is out there as best artist. Are you fucking kidding me? This is some bullshit.
One of the panelists, who went by the name of Amanda, explained the rules of the platform and why the nominations were chosen as they were. Malin was making sure everyone in CG knew his intentions. Intentions made known by the Authenticator years prior when he detailed Malin's aggressive demands on Englantine's channel, or when Malin on Mike S. Miller's stream stated he would flood votes. Everyone knew what was coming. Except this time, it wasn't Malin doing it. It seemed Jon acquiesced to Ethan doing the honors and sending his chat to flood the votes.
Pastor Flash says voting on 2 phones, one on Wi-Fi, one on mobile network. Well, don't cheat. 1 vote is fine. We don't want them to say that it's rigged and we cheated. No, well, we're not cheating at all. We're voting. That's all it is. We don't want them to have any excuses at all. All I'm saying is 1 vote per person, but we've got 1,500 people watching, and that's enough to overwhelm this poll.
EVS got his wish. His people, including Malin, took top honors for an awards show that had, well, nothing to award. It was just a fun thing for Vanessa's chat to participate in. A fun thing ruined by the flooding of a renegade bigger channel.
Yeah, that's why I didn't fight with Jon Malin this week, because I didn't know. I did not know he was a woman until this week. And I'm going to say something highly controversial, and mods, be ready to bump people.
You want to say something now that's highly controversial?
Yeah, War Campaign was right about Jon Malin. I said it.
Ooh, yes.
I said it.
Yes.
Malin took glee in embarrassing Vanessa. The damage was done. Vanessa would delete her YouTube channel and Twitter accounts following the embarrassing display. Amanda took to Twitter to criticize Ethan Van Sciver for what she called a malicious intent behind him sending his chat to flood the votes. Her sentiments were anything but subtle. Ethan claimed, however, that Vanessa deleted her channel because she allegedly doxed her line of work.
What if she accidentally told people that she was a government employee and the where they could find out and dox her and what state she's in? What if she accidentally said that and then had a panic attack and deleted all her social media? Is that a possibility, or do you think it was just that she was fed up with Comicsgate? What do you think, guys? What's more likely to... I mean, what do you think is more likely? You think she just had enough of Comicsgate so she nuked her entire social media presence? Or do you think that she realized that she'd accidentally doxed her work where she works for the government?
Fellow Comicsgater Robert Romano produced a trophy for Jon Malin in honor of the flooded votes that went his way in Danger Vanessa's chat. This amounted to nothing more than a participation trophy.
I'll keep you and cherish you. I'll even take you to bed with me every night.
At the time the CG Kings had successfully flooded Vanessa's chat, a new Twitter account called Warlock Comics appeared, and it began creating its own categories for nominees, most of whom were in Ethan's circle.
Mortal V says, I don't bully you enough, Ethan. Mortal V, I will kick your ass into increasingly smaller and smellier lockers for the rest of your life. You understand? You're talking to King Bully. You don't bully me. I get to bully you, and I will. I have a larger platform than you. I'm funnier than you. I will destroy you. I will destroy your life. I will make people who know you embarrassed to know you.
I don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from.
As 2024 winded down, EVS found himself on a Twitter battle with a returning Edwin Boyette, who acknowledged CG's tiny size in the internet space. He also pointed out Ethan's self-sabotage, a critique Ethan didn't take kindly to. As Edwin drove the point home about Ethan's refusal to accept criticism, EVS hit him with a low blow by saying, "Same for you, but don't smoke an in-law." This was in reference to a fire that claimed some of Edwin's in-laws. Ethan was not above weaponizing family tragedies, as we had seen with his call to meme a cartoon dog urinating on Eric July's great-grandfather's grave. Edwin continued to make an example of Ethan, and Ethan continued to hit him back with the family tragedy. During this Twitter skirmish, Captain Cummings returned to the fold and started going in on Ethan with his late books, mocking EVS's attempt to physical fitness by showing himself deadlifting and calling what EVS was doing with his crowdfunds a scam. This led to Ethan finally admitting what many accepted as fact over the years, that Ethan hijacked Comicsgate from Captain Cummings.
Hey, it's me. I am a chiller con, and I am effed up.
Ethan could no longer hide it. His Comicsgate was falling apart. His true sentiments were revealed when he live-streamed himself one Saturday night, drunk as hell.
Came out to the bar, some people recognized me. I'm nobody. I used to be somebody, but I'm nobody now. Even still, some people recognized me and bought me some drinks.
Smoking with strange lesbian women with what appeared to be a crack pipe, and falling asleep on a urinal while licking it, was all his detractors needed to prove that CG as a customer movement was dead. This brought forth the birth of the character Sloshy, who would be the icon of Ethan's failure. But the fallout from the events of the Tampa Bay Con, with Malin's resentment towards Phil Diaz, his unhealthy obsession over Irene Rini Strakowski, the years of bullying other smaller creators like Rob Cacy, the destructive Kickstarter ban would all come to hit him on his face when an unlikely detractor came forth and held the mirror to Jon Malin, Shane Davis, and Ethan Van Sciver's faces.
John was being a bully, and I'm sorry I wasn't there.
It came from Dan Fraga.
We're here to get along.
I agree with Mike.
Thank you. I don't like bullies. That's all it boils down to, guys.
I don't like people bullying my friends, period. That shit pisses me off. I don't give a fuck who you are.
Well, not within our own community. That's the thing that really upsets me.
Wait,
Yeah,
you're
because-
mad at me because PTT or PTP freaked
I'm
out
not
on
mad
me?
at you, John. I'm not mad at you, John.
Well, what
I'm mad about? What I'm mad about is the antics. My main point is I want CG to be strong. I want us to work with. No, we're not, Ethan. The numbers are dropping, buddy.
Dan, I've surpassed my last campaign.
You have. You're an outlier.
Okay.
Talk to some other people, man. Look at other people that are working just as hard as you that aren't getting your numbers, Shane. You know what? I love my kids, and when I'm mad at them and I tell them don't be a bully, it doesn't mean I
Yeah,
don't love
but
them.
yet you've yet to lay out how I bullied anybody, Dan.
I don't have to, John.
Well, you kind of do.
No, I kind of don't. It's out
a little
there.
bit.
I'm
Dude,
saying
you are
why I'm
totally
you.
mad at me. Why
I'm
are you
telling
mad at
why
me?
I'm
Because
mad.
he and Dale
Because
did not
you're
talk
a
together
fucking
like men.
bully.
I could talk about more stuff. I could talk about the comic book hut giving up critiquing EVS after his own failed Kickstarter campaign about a space whale didn't fund, and how he alleged Doug Ernst was the one who was feeding him the material for his videos, a claim Ernst denied. I could talk about Ro Kabir and Gat Hansel leaving War Campaign for good after Rose spent thousands of dollars given to him by a fan on the mistress he allegedly left his wife and kids for. I could talk about so much more, but I'm done. The real lesson in all of this is how antithetical to comics business a parasocial relationship is. I'll still use YouTube, Facebook, and X, but I think it's healthier to also utilize the convention circuit and just meet people, say hi, shake hands, be friendly and professional. It's the only real antidote to all of this insanity.
Daddy can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all tonight. Daddy can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all. It ain't right. In the morning, in the evening, in the night. Daddy can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all. I'll hide in the closet. You hide under the bed. Don't let him find you. He'll stretch your hole to death.
Doug, you, I think, and you correct me on this, but you might be the first real Comicsgater.
I'm going to own the Comicsgate trademark, and then I'm going to protect it. We're going to make Comicsgate shirts, cool hats like this. We're going to do all of that stuff. We're going to make it official. We're going to make it a brand.
Can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all. Some of us endure. Some of us cry in pain. Oh, why does he do this when mommy is away? In the morning, in the evening, in the night. Daddy can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all. Some of us endure. Some of us cry in pain. Oh, why does he do this when mommy is away? Daddy can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all. Daddy can't rape us all. It ain't right. It ain't right.